I understood probably 2 or 3 years ago that we were doing something special. I think a good founder, a good CEO, I'm not, by far not one of the most talented guys around. I don't have all the big degrees, but I realized that my passion was the beginning. And since my passion was the beginning, that was the launch. This idea created what I considered the lab of trying to figure this out.
Yeah.
I realized, so I didn't want to be the face of the company. I really didn't.
Right.
Because you know how too many of us, and I don't know if this is you, I'm interested to hear, that we say, oh, well, really, I'm an introvert. Okay.
Yeah, right.
I feel that way when I'm not here,
Right.
but I think it's just because I need a break.
Yeah.
There's no way
Yeah.
an introvert can do what me and you do.
Right.
Right? And so I do think, though, why that comes out of our mouths is because when I go to dinner, I don't want to run into people.
Yeah,
I don't.
Correct.
And if you see someone you know in our roles, you have to talk to them.
Right.
Right? It's an obligation.
Right.
And so I think I realized that, man, if I become the face of this,
It's every day.
it's every day.
Yeah, my wife says a complaint when I leave a party. We get in the car and I don't even talk. And she's like, how are you the life of the party, engaging with everybody? You get in the car, do you hate me? And I was like, no, I was on. I understand my role, you know. And then I get in the car and I'm like, I really don't have to talk. I just enjoy that.
So I love when I sit down with someone. I knew the first time you and I talked was, what, a couple months ago?
Yep.
Right? In your office, we were talking about something real estate related, and I knew you walked out of your office, and I was getting ready to leave. I knew within 2 or 3 minutes, I'm like, man, this guy's got it.
Appreciate that.
Well, so you've got it.
Yeah.
And let's get into what it means later from both of our
Sure.
perspectives, because it's a wide range of things.
Right.
But I just knew you had it. But you just spoke about when you leave a party and you have to be on.
Right.
Because you know what your role is.
I know what my role is.
You've got to be on.
Right.
And then you get in the car and your wife's there.
I don't have to be on.
You don't have to be on. But how much does that speak to having the right partner in life, if you're going to have one, how important that is?
Yeah, we just celebrated our 30th wedding anniversary, and I'm so overmarried, and proving that I'm probably the greatest salesman in the history of the world. She had no idea what hit her. I had about 6 months worth of money, and I courted and I dated like I had it, and then I said I either got to fess up and tell her I'm broke, or I got to propose. So
what'd you do?
I proposed. We got married about 6 weeks after that, and I was like, I don't have any money. I know I came on full. I went hard in the paint, man, but it's over.
All right. So then what happened? So 6 weeks later, gigs up, honey.
Well, I was selling vacuum cleaners. I don't know if you know that about my past, but I was.
Let's hear it.
I graduated University of Kentucky, and I sold vacuum cleaners. You know, I've got 3 jobs in my life. I did Gap, at the Gap at the mall when I was 16. I started detailing cars, and then I started selling vacuum cleaners, and that was what I did predominantly. You know, all the way through college. Got out of college, went to a couple job interviews. They're telling me what they're going to pay, and I'm like, I can make more than that selling vacuum cleaners. I went to college to get this degree, so I didn't have to sell vacuum cleaners. And I'm like, nope, I'm making way too much money selling vacuum cleaners. So that degree was a lot cheaper back then, though. Oh, yeah.
I bet that degree, did you live on campus at UK?
Yeah.
So those 4 years, I bet those 4 years, room and board, everything, 15, 20K?
Yeah. 25,000.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah. And I didn't live on campus the whole time, but no. I mean, and I was paying out of state because I came out of state. I'm from West Virginia. I came out of state. So I remember saying this to the registrar's office. I said, listen, I work here. I pay taxes here. I've never left Kentucky. This is like my junior year. And they said, well, no, you started out of state. You're going to finish out of state. And I said, you'll never get another dime from me. And so I get these alumni, and I take great pride in the alumni. Now I'll pay extra for UK tickets, but I will never donate a penny to get that off the.
God, you're such a terrible person. He's not giving a penny to UK. Gave him the education. Gave him what he knew to sell vacuum cleaners. You won't give him a penny. Tony, damn. Yeah. So hey, I want to jump into vacuum cleaners, but I don't do any big introductions at the end because when we post the podcast and
Right.
it goes everywhere and we say founder, CEO of Kona Ice, what's awesome is that it doesn't matter what your name is now.
Right.
It just means if you're the guy who was the beginning of that and you're going to tell us all the things, I have great people around me, I have great leaders, I have great managers. I say it's because it's real.
Right.
But the fact is, you're the guy in the beginning that had this wild-ass crazy idea. So not going to – but it's Tony Lamb, founder of and still CEO, right?
Yes.
Of Kona Ice.
Kona Ice.
Okay.
That's right.
And so – which is the largest food truck company in the world?
In the world.
Okay.
Single branded food truck company in the world.
That's awesome. And so I want to come back to some things to talk about what you guys have going on with Travelin Tom's Coffee and all types of things. And I want to talk about the origin of shaved ice. That's hilarious where it goes back to Roman times. And all that. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So I'm interested in, and I think everybody listening as well, job at the mall working for the Gap.
Yeah.
And then the next job you had was selling vacuum cleaners pretty much. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, I detailed
cars.
It was a great story, great moment in my life where I was a great salesman at the Gap, whatever, $3.35 an hour, by the way, minimum wage. And the manager put up this contest and said whoever sells the most, for this Christmas holidays, blah blah blah. And then she started cutting my hours on the schedule, and I was like, I can't compete. I'm getting half the hours everybody else is getting. She said, well, I'm trying to make it fair for everybody. I remember I went home to my dad, and I said, I was mad. I was trying to put a CD player in my car. So this is how old I am. And no one had CD players in their car.
Alpine or a Kenwood CD player?
Yes, it was an Alpine.
Yeah, baby.
it was
with some subs in the back or no?
Oh yeah, subs in the back. It was going to be incredible.
Hey, is it one of those that you put multiple CDs in?
No,
and like just one.
It was the very first CD player for
Man,
a car.
That was hot.
Yeah, it was
you were
great.
trying to be cool. So go home and talk to Dad.
So I go and Dad said, "Well, you can't complain. Shut up." And my dad's always says, "You find." Can we use profanity on this?
Okay, once you do, I'm going to unleash it. So go. So go.
No.
No, what'd your dad say? I cuss so much, and I'm just telling you, once you unlock it, there's no stopping me.
Well, I'm not normally a cusser, but when I quote my 86-year-old father, he is a cusser. He says, profanity is the technicolor of life. It is what adds its sentence enhancers. And
I want to know your dad.
Everybody wants to know my dad.
Okay.
He's the greatest guy.
Let's say exactly what he said.
He said, Tony, listen, if you're going to complain, you want some sympathy? You just find sympathy in the dictionary between shit and syphilis. And I was like, that's fantastic. Now, he's been saying that since I was like 4. I'm in health class in the 8th grade, and they start talking about STDs, and they say syphilis, and I was like, oh, my God, that's what he's talking about. And I'm like, this is brilliant. My dad is brilliant. And it does work. Sympathy is in the dictionary between shit and syphilis. So he said, no sympathy whatsoever. If you're going to work for somebody, they're going to tell you when, how, and what you're worth. And he goes, work for yourself. There's where the money is because you know your worth. And 16, 17 years old, I start detailing cars, and I'll never forget this. I'll tell you this real quick. I was at the City Park pool at June. I'm with my little girlfriend there, and I had 8 guys out detailing cars for me, and I was at the pool, and I pulled down about $200, $230 that day. And these things are so fresh in my mind because that was the moment I thought, this is a good deal right here.
Isn't this Parkersburg, West Virginia?
Parkersburg, West Virginia. West by God, Virginia. Yeah, that's exactly right.
They drove cars then?
Not many. It's bad. I love my roots. I love Parkersburg, West Virginia. I go back occasionally,
so $230.
$230, and I was did nothing that day except do the marketing, do the scheduling, provide the product, provide the customers. And I thought this is good. So, go to University of Kentucky. First year, I'm thinking, okay, get good grades. This is the way it works. That summer, I started selling vacuum cleaners at Richmond, Kentucky, or whatever. My dad was the president of Rainbow Vacuum Cleaners, so that was just a natural step for me. So that hey, go make $3.35 an hour, go detail cars, or go sell vacuum cleaners, and I was good at it. Mark, at the end of the day, I was good at it.
So here's the question. So this is. Why do you think you were good? Where's this come from? Does it come from? Is it at the mall? Is it at Gap? Is it being around your dad all the time? What is it?
It's I have no inhibitions talking to people. So and I think that's a gift or whatever. You got people that are shy, don't know how to interact and things like that. I have no inhibitions talking to people. I can pull up to a small trailer home and go in and relate. I can pull up to a mansion in Lexington and go in and relate. I have no problems talking to anybody about anything. I think everyone's pretty much the same at the end of the day. If they're not, then they're putting on airs at the end at the end of the day. But no, I really did well because I understood it wasn't about selling the vacuum cleaner. It was about the referrals because you start out every summer knocking doors, and it's the worst crap in the world. One out of 30 let you in, and then you sell 1 out of 3. So you got to knock on 90 doors to get a commission. This is tough, and so as soon as I get into a home, buddy, I'm like, how big's your family? You from around here? You go to a church around here? Where are your kids? That
trying to make connections.
I'm just networking like crazy. I'm looking at pictures on the wall. I'm asking questions. They think I'm just having a conversation, but I'm just lining them up for the referrals. I do a great presentation. Keep it light. Keep it simple. They laugh a little bit. I get done at the end. I don't care if they buy it. 1 out of 3 buy it. I don't care. I just want the referrals, so I don't have to go knock doors anymore.
So do you identify with this? So many people. I cut my teeth in a mall.
Did you really?
Selling hats, man.
Yeah.
Company called Hat World and Lids.
Is that now Lids?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And so that's why I was in Parkersburg and in Charleston.
Yeah.
And I was a district manager driving all those towns. I started out part-time when I was going to Northern, and then just, somebody identified me. One of the guys that started the company is like, you know what? I think this guy's got something. And it's the same thing you're talking about.
Yeah.
But I cut my teeth working in malls. Before that, it was another little sports store called Pro Image.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just out there at the lease line, not back behind the cash wrap.
Right.
Engaging with people.
Right.
And so still to this day, so of course then I get a real estate license, just have the natural instinct to talk to people, right? And people are like, man, Mark, how does it, when people come into an open house, everyone wants to have you help them buy a home. And I was like, guys, it's really simple, and I don't know if I can connect the dots for you or not, but I'm not trying to sell the house.
Right.
I'm not every other realtor's trying to sell the house.
Right.
Every other realtor's trying to get their phone number. Every other realtor's trying to do it for the follow-up.
Right.
I'm just trying to make a connection.
Right.
Letting them know, like, hey, I'm here to help you.
Right.
If you have a need of selling a home, I'm a good guy, but I like to have fun. But let me do whatever I can to inform you about the product.
Right.
I'm really smart. I'm knowledgeable. I'm good to work with. If you need somebody to help you, here I am.
Yeah.
And I just never was, by default, worried about the close because I didn't have to be.
Right.
So I don't know. Maybe that was.
Yeah, you get it. That's it. You understand that's the process. You're 3 steps ahead in most cases because everyone's reading their cards. They've gone through training. They know what to say. They know how to say it. And you're like, you're missing the whole point. The point is the connection.
That's it.
And that's it.
So I think the question is, I'm assuming that I'm jumping back was your dad, was he in sweeper sales since you were a kid?
Yeah, my whole life. Here's this.
That's what you're around.
Well, so I dating a little girl in high school. We get my dad's Mercedes 560 SEL. That was a big Mercedes back in the day. There's a phone in it. And she goes, oh, my God, there's a phone in this car. And I said, yeah, my dad's a vacuum cleaner salesman. And she goes, she used to date Greg Brooks or whatever. And her daddy, his daddy's a doctor. It's like, he doesn't have a car that's nice. I said, well, no, he doesn't sell vacuum cleaners. I was so screwed up in my life because I thought the hierarchy went vacuum cleaner sales, doctor, lawyer, whatever professional. I was like, this is what you strive for. This is the epitome of life because my dad, we lived in a great house, drove a great car, did whatever he wanted. He was a phenomenal salesman. My dad, 86, still works at Kona every single day. I don't know what he does there, but the morale is better when he's there. So
did you learn this you woke up and went to bed and lived your life around him every day?
Every day. Yeah. And I was born on his birthday, November 2nd. We just had our birthday together. Every day, every November 2nd, we're together. We have lunch or whatever. I've got, 3 other siblings and we're all close. We're a close family, but Dad and I just seem to be cut from the same cloth. And I say that, and that's a compliment to me because my dad is the most unusual person I've ever met in my life. And I'm not like him. I look at and I see the differences, but my dad is just this natural God's gift of communication. Now he needs a software update because he's 86. Every 86-year-old needs a software update. He's an HR disaster.
Well, it sounds like I need a software update too. Then.
I was like, oh my gosh, you cannot say that. But it's funny because everybody loves the HR girl at the office is like, oh, he can say whatever he wants.
At 86, he gets away with it.
He's
allowed
your
dad,
to.
And he's 86.
Right. Yeah.
And you know what's funny is the way he is. We all know someone like him.
Yeah.
He does it the right way that he can get away with it
every time because it's pure. It's very pure. He's the founder of the founder. That's his title. He's FOF. And he tells everybody that. He goes, I'm not the founder, but I am the founder of the founder.
Did he ever put you through when you went from the mall and then did some – why'd you stop detailing cars when you went to UK?
I went to UK.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you were coming out of school, when did you know I'm going to be a sweeper salesman?
I was just going to do it till I got my degree, and then I was going to get a real job. And so I went all the way through school, got my degree, and it wasn't easy. I mean, it took me 5.5 years to get that 4-year degree. So I went to a job interview for Merck Pharmaceutical Sales, and I sat in the interview. I got a suit. I was like, finally, I get out of this vacuum cleaner crap and respect, and I'm going to sell pharmaceuticals. And I went through the interview. I got done. I got all the sales experience, and he goes, oh, you're a great candidate. And I said, so can I ask you a question? He goes, you got any questions for me? I said, yeah. How much do you make? He says, $36,500 starting. I was like, ugh. And he goes, I said, you get a company car? And he said, yeah. And I said, what kind? And he goes, I don't know. And I said, well, what kind of car? He goes, it's a minivan. I'm like, brother, and I looked like this when I was in college. It's not like I've gotten ugly. I looked exactly like this in high school or in college. And I said, I can't, brother, I need a Ferrari or something, man. I'm 36.5. I'm not going to be throwing money around. I said, where can I be in 5 years? And he goes, well, you could be a regional manager, blah, 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 blah. Be making 50, 55, maybe 60 with some. I'm like, and I left that, true story, I left that interview on the college, the BE building, and I drove to the Lexington Rainbow Vacuum Cleaner office, and I said, what's the highest commission you'll pay me? Guy gave me the commission. I just started working there. And my it just blows me away. I'm not a big fan of college. Now, we need it for doctors and lawyers and accountants and professionals, but we don't need it for all the other stuff, the gen eds and the history degrees. I mean, if you want to teach, yes, I'm so glad there's college to kind of weed out the people so we get some great teachers.
You know what I heard? Someone was just up here, and this is starting to catch on more and more because it's tough to reprogram our brains.
Yeah.
So a guy was just here. He said, listen, I'm a massive fan of constant education.
Oh, yeah, me too.
I'm not a fan of academia.
Right. That's exactly right. That's I am not a fan of this put you on a train track. You get out of high school and you're just immediately into college, and then you're signing a contract or you're agreeing to go into debt at 18 when you can't even you can't even vote. Or no, you can vote. What can't you do? You can't drink.
Can't drink.
But you can decide your life and go into hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. And
the 4 years is not the issue. Right, the 4 years, the 5.5 years from 18 to 23, that's not the issue, even though I did it very non-traditional if we get into that. But I only went to Northern for a year before I hit the road for those boys at Lids.
Yeah.
But then I came back, night classes at Northern, morning class at Northern, Thomas More they were the only college that had non-traditional night classes back in 2000. Right? And so I learned more from 19 to 24 on the road.
Yeah, I would agree.
Personnel, building that company, inventory, loss prevention, HR management, hiring. You couldn't teach that shit in college.
No.
And so, however, there's some weaknesses I had that I had to make up for. Right? I really needed to go deep in some more economics. I needed to go deep in some accounting classes.
Yeah.
But if I would have gone the traditional route, I wouldn't be the guy I am today.
Yeah, because you think about you're just lined up there at like cattle in your economics 101 class. You don't even care. You're just trying to get to the end so you can get your grade. When you come back at it and you're thinking, I want to know some economic principles. Now you're sitting there listening.
Third, fourth year.
Yeah. Now you're starting to listen. Now you're starting to care. I can apply these theories and these ideas. This is great. I've got 4 kids. None of them went to college, and I've got funds to send them to college if I want to, and
maybe they'll choose later. So I guess my argument is that even if I would have, because the letter came back from UK saying, "Are you coming? We have your dorm reserved.
Right?
Are you coming?"
Yeah.
And I just didn't go. I stayed home, went to Northern. But even though I would have been a different guy, I'm not saying I would have been. I just wouldn't have been here. But again, it's not the 4 or 5 years. It's the 80, 100, 150 grand you're strapped with that puts you so far behind the 8 ball. You don't have options in life.
Right.
That stuff's going to come due.
Yeah.
Right? And you can't – it's one of the only ones. Bankruptcy doesn't cover it up.
Right. Isn't that amazing? The federal government gives it to you, and then they won't let you file bankruptcy. They'll let you file bankruptcy on everybody else, but not them.
That's wild. So so you go to the vacuum cleaner stuff in Lexington.
Right. Yeah.
Do you have any thought about going back home to Parkersburg?
No, never, because my life was here. My family members were here, so I was ready to go. I worked for a year selling, and it was time to open up my own office. I moved to Northern Kentucky. Me and my wife moved up here in Northern Kentucky. Started me and one other fella that I'd gone to college with, and he came with me, and we started, and it blew up. I mean, I would like to sit back and look and say, well, because I was so good. I just kept frickin' working at the end of the day. I'm paying attention. You think about the life advice or whatever. I get the chance. I'm like you. I'm sure you get, I go into Northern. I go into the universities and schools. I actually like the high schools better, to be honest with you. So
you can make an impact there.
You can make an impact. They're still listening to you. You're still fairly cool. College, you're like, whatever. So I love talking, and they'll say, what's the advice? I said, just keep hustling. Just keep hustling, keep paying attention, constant education, keep reading, podcast, everything that you can get your hands on, consume it. You're already spending 8 hours a day with your phone. You might as well make it somewhat educational. Quit watching TikTok, and let's listen to some podcasts. Get something that motivates you, inspires you, get you out there, off your butt and get to work. So
when you open up a Rainbow and you had a family member, a cousin, a friend, somebody that opened up with you.
Yeah.
Right? So explain to me this process of trying to train and educate salespeople to do what you naturally did.
Yeah, it's Rainbow's a great company, and I still, if it wasn't for Rainbow, I wouldn't be at all where I'm at today, because I learned a lot about sales, just personal sales, understanding the marketing of what I was fascinated with, Mark, was knocking on someone's door, them opening the door, and they hate me. I mean, I'm telling you, you can imagine. It's like, oh my God, we got an appointment with the vacuum cleaner guy.
We train our agents to knock on doors to sell houses.
Yeah, that's
still to this day.
It's the best thing in the world.
So
Yeah, just
so I did it. It's how I built my real estate career.
Yeah, I mean, you should. Rejection. If you're one of these beautiful people in the world, and you and I are not.
Did you give him? Hey, Dave. Did you give him the 0 to 10 chart? Say, hey, Tony, at some point during this podcast, I just want to let you know, go ahead and rate Mark how he looks, but let him know.
Of course. Yeah,
hey, yeah. Were you trying to advocate for a 5? Can I get a 5?
You were 10 minutes late, so we had plenty of time to catch up. And
wow.
So
my reputation precedes me. Okay. So, all right, we're not, Mark Perkins isn't best looking, so here we go.
Right. I mean, listen, on radio, podcast, you are incredible, brother.
Unfortunately, this is on YouTube, too.
Oh, man, this is going to hurt, isn't it? Should have worn my toupee.
So when you're knocking on the door, they already hate you.
They hate you. And all my goal was to come out of there an hour and a half later with a friend, with someone that would refer me to their family, with someone to refer me to their friend. And so if you go into it with that attitude, and all these salesmen go and they're knocking on the door, they're like, oh my God, I need a $200 commission. I need a $300 commission. And it's like, you're like, no. All you need to do is make a friend. And it's so easy to make a friend. Communicate. Listen to them. Let them talk. Talk about them. People lose that so much. You're just like, talk about myself. No, talk about them. Get them talking. Plus, you're going to get the referrals on the whole thing. But I would walk out of the house. I can't tell you how many times people got their arm around me. I babysit kids before. I'll never forget Brenda and JT Alexander in Berea, Kentucky. I sold them a Rainbow. Great people. I'm coming down to see one of their referrals. They said, hey, could you come about an hour early? We got to go to the church. When you watch our kids for just about an hour before you go over to her sister's house. And I was like, absolutely. I'll come and watch the kids. And I'm like, I'm 19 years old watching 2 kids in the middle of Berea, Kentucky. And I'm like, what has happened? But that is it. I made a connection so good. They gave me the referrals. I had 6 ladies sell over 20 Rainbows for me through referrals. And I don't know anybody. I was in the business for 13 years and so blessed in the business, and just kept things were just great. We set records and did this and did that. I mean, I had end up with 6 offices, a couple hundred salespeople selling hundreds of Rainbows a month, just ridiculous.
So what did the training program look like? Because you didn't need it.
Correct. But I think that was the secret to my success. I understood what needed to be trained, and what needed to be trained is not the most articulate demo in the world. It's the relation of the thing. It was here's a good opportunity to talk to them. Here's a good opportunity to get to find out about this. Here's a good opportunity to do that. So I would train. I trained obviously everybody in the beginning, and then I hired trainers, and then a little bit less, and you get bigger.
So you're basically, we're talking about soft skills here. We're talking
Correct.
about, for a doctor, a bedside manner. So how much, when you were training, discuss this training program, when you hired a new salesperson, that you said, hey, you know what, they've got some skills. They have some charisma, but they don't have these sales skills. What's that training program look like? Are they instantly out on the street? Do they have to get in front of people? How much classroom time? What's that look like?
Yeah, it was about 3 or 4 days of classroom time, a couple hours a night. They would come in at night. Usually you're recruiting from the home, which was fantastic. So you get done at the end. This is the great thing about Rainbow. You get done. I think my dad came up with this program. You get done with the end of the demonstration. People say, yeah, I'll take it. And say, great. And they start working on their leads. Because if you give them 4 leads, they'll get a free shampooer. So like, oh, my brother will buy one, my sister will buy one, my mom will buy one, my aunt will buy one. Well, great. I tell you what, instead of me going out and selling them, why don't you come in, learn how to sell these, sell 4, and you'll get this one paid for. And it's a great in-home referral program. So you got a lot of, just normal people coming in, and they would always sell their warm leads because you could, the trust and the belief is there. So they come in and they sell their warm leads, and your job was in the warm lead, area to get them skilled enough that they could go sell the not as warm leads. So, you go through it all the time. I had a lot of full-time salesmen for me, probably 30 or 40, then a bunch of part-timers. That would go through.
What's the 80-20 rule mean to you?
You mean Pareto's principle?
Oh, yeah.
In which, give me context.
And salespeople. Anything, business.
Yeah, I mean, 80% of the people do not get it. 20% of the people get it.
Make all the money and get it, right?
Yeah.
Why is that? Have you thought about it? I don't want to put you on that, but I've thought about this over the years a ton because I don't want it to be that way.
I know, me either.
I don't.
Right.
I could accept it if it was 80-20 the other way.
Yeah, but I mean, the world wouldn't be cool. I mean, listen, our goal here is, our job here is to, the socialists, everybody be the same. I'm like, no. I like being in where you can stretch and work and rise above. I mean, isn't that the American dream? We're going to rise above the normality of life and achieve a little better.
Here's what I know is that, I thought about when you were talking about the Gap story. I love that we got back here. I was like, boy, I was a socialist running that place. They're cutting your hours. No, they're cutting your hours because you're more capable. And they're like, well, I know if you work 20 hours, you're going to do the same amount of the people at 40, so I got to make sure I level this out. But I tell you what, that sales manager isn't doing a damn thing in this world. But so if Tony isn't the guy that he is, I can't be at the Outer Banks. I told you a story when I was in your office. I can't be at the Outer Banks in North Carolina this past summer.
Right.
Playing basketball that a 43-year-old shouldn't.
Right.
Not having water, and I'm like, wow, the last 2 or 3 years how I've lived my life in these long hours, they've really come back to bite me here. So I'm playing basketball with the 16-year-old family nephews and 18-year-old people. The old guys won.
Yeah.
Impressive. But we were like Toby Keith.
Right.
I'm not as good as I once was, but I'm as good once.
Yeah, you won the first game.
We didn't play anymore. That's it, boys.
That's it, boys.
I feel you all look hurt. Something's going on. Hit one of them hard enough, they don't want to play again.
That's the story of my life.
But then I looked around and said, where's the Kona truck?
Yeah.
And the reason why I said it was because I'm exhausted. I need something to refresh myself. And I'm thinking, man, they've been here the last 2 or 3 days. Where's the damn Kona truck? And eventually they came around, and I was pumped, and I was so excited. I got my $20 and bought like 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah.
But here's what I know. In that little moment of Mark Perkins' happiness, when I didn't even know a Tony, I was happy about that Kona truck.
Yeah.
And if you weren't the guy
that
was out laying it on the line, there's these little moments that improve all of our lives.
Correct.
That moment at that time, because you went all in, and capitalism paid off for you, but it's because you made it pay off, you make somebody's life better.
Yeah.
A little $4 or $5 piece of shaved ice that Nero came up with in 27 BC.
Man, you've done your homework, brother. Wow.
So do we give credit to Tony Lamb or we give it to Nero? I don't know which one.
I think Nero gets the credit.
That crazy son of a bitch.
Yeah, crazy. That's exactly right.
But no, I think that that's why people who are in business and they build something, I don't care if it's one of your Kona Ice franchisees, there's someone out there, they're making the kids smile, they're making somebody's life a little bit better.
Yeah.
And there's so many businesses that do that for us throughout the day. Mm-hmm. Man, without this environment in this great country allowing people like you and I to do this, it wouldn't be as special for everybody.
Right.
So F socialism.
I couldn't agree more.
Right? And so let's talk about Nero. What the hell, right? Nero came up with shaved ice in 27 BC.
Yeah.
How much crap research did you have to do to go back and find that?
I had a secretary with me for about 13 years. She goes down to Warsaw, Kentucky, and I'm helping her. I sold the business, the Rainbow business. Mm-hmm. I sold it off to the managers that were running the stores. And no one was hiring her because she was my proprietary secretary, whatever, for the region. So I helped her get in business with a video store or whatever. So I bought out a video store. Video stores are going out of business.
Blockbuster Light.
Yeah. Well, they were
Family Video or something.
Yeah, they were going out of business in Cincinnati, but Warsaw, Kentucky was just now getting VHS tapes. So you had to go back in time to get it. And so she got down there and she was doing great. And I said, you got to get food in here, because this thing is going to die. And she started bringing food in. I went down there one day. Someone walked in, said, I'll take a shave ice. She did it. And the guy walked out the door. And she goes, I love that because it's so economical. And I was like, what? And she goes,
You can make some money?
Yeah, I can make some money. Are you kidding me? I said, that was fast. Because I was a milkshake guy. Obviously, you can tell I'm a milkshake guy.
I'm an ice cream, milkshake, shaved ice, burgers, whatever you want to give.
Yeah. Anything with hydrogenated vegetable oils, I'm in. I'm actually not a shaved ice guy, if you can believe it. I'm just, I don't have to like it. Actually, they say that's a secret. I don't drink coffee and I don't like shaved ice. And I'm like, but we're selling a lot of those things. So I'm fine with that.
So you're not Warren Buffett? Buy stock in what you love.
Yeah, I'm not that guy.
Okay.
I'm the guy. So,
okay.
Because the Kona business is not about the shaved ice. It's more about the community. It's more about the franchisee. It's that give back. It's that feel good. It's community is what it comes down to. So I talk to every single prospective franchisee that gets to a certain point in our business. They cannot get a Kona truck unless they've talked to me. Period. And I'm not talking to them to preach to them. I'm listening. And I better hear the words family or community or give back or something along those philanthropic lines or those cultural lines. I will tell you this. I have walked away from more people that it was probably May or June of this year, is talking to a guy looking at his application, go down to his financials, crazy wealthy. And I'm like, what are you doing? And I said that. So what are you doing? What are you doing here? And he goes, oh, well, I sold a rental house. I don't want to put the money in the market because I think the market's going to tank. So I'm just looking for a place to park the money. I'm out. And I said, listen, I that sounds great. I'm really happy for you, but this is not the business for that because I want you on the truck. I want you the face of the truck. I want you in your community. I want you making relationships. I want you giving back to the schools. I want you giving back to the little leagues. This is what we're about. We're not about, I want to park some money somewhere.
So that perspective, that's a long-term growth model.
Yeah. There's so many inherent flaws in that, but at the end of the day, it works. The inherent flaws is we'll get somebody that doesn't have the business acumen. Like, that guy that was parking some money, probably never would have had to talk to him because he would have figured it out, got somebody in there and da-da-da. It would have been a fine business for him, a good passive income. But that's not what the community would not have been as good wherever he was buying his truck as a little family or somebody that's like, my kids have grown. I want to give back to the community. I want to make this place better because I'm so grateful to live here. This kind of stuff. You're right. It's so accurate. It's a long-term move. It's been 15 years. We have 1,450 franchises in 49 states. I got about 25 up in Canada, one in Mexico. I'm not sure where they're at. Can't find them with radar. There's so many jokes going on about that.
They're burning up more gas than anybody, Tony. How often do they come across the world? I'm not even going. Let's stay away from this shit.
Yeah. Anybody heard from the Mexico guy?
This
no.
can't be good. Leave him alone.
Yeah, don't touch him.
Does the tracker? Do you still see the trucks alive? Is it still moving?
Yeah. Please, God, just don't end up on CNN.
So this is fascinating to me because I love these conversations, and that's what I think about this podcast. Like, these aren't interviews. These are conversations. And what I love is this is intriguing for me because if you're honest, and I think you're like a guy that's just, but when did you connect with It's About the Community? Because it couldn't have been in the beginning.
No, it was about money.
When did that happen?
It's about survivability.
Yep.
So you got to survive first. And I'll say that to people. Listen, it's culture, it's community, but understand one thing. We got to make money first because if you don't make money, we can't continue. So let's make sure we have a business model that makes money. But I started in 2007. I was just, whatever. So the first truck rolls out June 21st, 2007. We're just busting at the seams. It's going crazy, Northern Kentucky. I've got three or four prototypes that show up. I get a guy over here. I said, once you try it for a while, go over to Kenton County or Campbell or whatever. Just don't interfere with my area. And he goes out there and he starts killing it. I'm like, we're on to something here. And then 2008 hits.
You know what I just realized? You know how I said he had 10 years on us, but I just came to the conclusion. I knew this. It was from me I interviewed the Big B Coffee CEO 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I listened to it.
Awesome guy.
Yeah.
Awesome guy. And so he's the one who has 10 years on. Started out as a barista and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So I just realized I started the real estate company a month after he started his. I think we have some catching up to do. We're going to learn something here today, Dave. We're going to learn something here today.
Big guy's pretty smart.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
He is.
Yeah, he's pretty smart.
I'm just trying – but that's – you know what I've learned is I don't care about monetizing this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Selfishly, this is for me too.
Yeah.
We're going to create great content.
Right.
There's a ton of people that are going to hear this.
Yeah.
I'm probably benefiting more than anyone.
Yeah, listen, if we can have a conversation and someone can listen to it, I mean, how fantastic is this? Someone can listen to it and be inspired and do something better. Oh, my gosh, then my job is done 100 times.
They don't need all the college classes. Man.
Right, they don't, brother.
There you go. So so we go back. You guys are killing it.
Yeah.
So and 2008 comes.
Yeah.
Jesus, do we have to go back to that time?
Oh, my God.
Lay it out to us. Tell us what that did to your business and what happened.
So the business model was I always say the Roger Bannister 4-minute mile. If I could get neighborhoods up to $1,000 a night, I got 210 selling days in my season, lose 10 or 20 to weather. So I've got about 180 days to make it, get to $1,000 a night. If I can do it once, I can do it 100. I can repeat it. So we started getting to where I did this one neighborhood or one big area community or whatever. We're doing $1,000 a night in 2007. 2008 rolls around, those neighborhoods start, just cutting down. The PTAs that called me in 2007 that said, come on out and treat the whole school, they weren't calling. So I'm calling them, and I said, hey, how about we come to the school, we'll sell a couple dollars to the kids, and I'll give you back a percentage and help you guys raise money. And they're like, yes, we're in on that. Because everyone can afford, even 2008, you can afford $2 or $3. So we would come to the schools, we do a Kona Day is what we call it, and we give back to the school 20-30%. And the schools are now making $400, $500, $600, $700, in an hour. And this is the greatest little fundraiser. The kids love it, and this took off. And then the little leagues, and we were in Boone County Pee Wee football and crushed it in 2007. Crushed it. And 2008, the league was half the size. Now, we still did as well. We still did good, not as good as 2007, but we gave back actually more money the second year because you're trying to help the community, and we were making money. So that's where it was starting to. You could see we could differentiate. I've got this crazy good economics. Food costs are cheap. Service speed is fast. So I look at the give back or the whatever as a part of the business.
You know how when I was sitting in your office a couple months ago, the moment that I realized, I want to talk to this guy, here was the moment. It was touching on this same place that you went. You're like, 2008. I'm like, oh, he knew in 2008. Whatever it was, but you look back, it was an opportunity to evolve. I don't know if it felt like it in the moment, but it's like survive, figure it out, problem solve.
Right.
That's the instincts of an entrepreneur.
Right. That's the difference, man. That's
it.
That's the difference.
Because there's massive adversity we face. You face a massive problem. It's like, we're not going out of business.
Right.
We're not shutting this thing down.
Right.
We're not one of those statistics in the first 5 years, 90% of the people fail.
Right.
What do we have to do? How do we have to think different? It's painful, those sleepless nights.
Right.
But that's where your mind went.
Right. Well, I listen to the Big B Coffee guy, and I'm like, that's a smart guy. And I'm like, I don't think that entrepreneurs need to be as smart as him. I think they just need to be more resilient, and you can't quit. And that's at the end of the day. I had about $400,000 on an equity line. And I was like, all right, buddy, I got to sell these snow cones one at a time. And we went to work, and it worked, and we kept pushing. We sold the trucks, franchisees. What was the magical part about 2008 was the layoffs. I had access to better quality people than I did I wasn't selling in 2007 really, but in 2008, I'm getting some calls from some really, and they're still with me. Mark Kenny down in Bartow County, Georgia. This is a great guy. Got laid off at his job and put his last $20,000 down. This is such a great story because he sends the $20,000 in, to the internet or whatever, and his wife goes, "You just got scammed." And so he goes, "No, we didn't. No, we didn't." And he goes, so he drives up to Northern Kentucky to pick up his truck, and she's sitting beside him, just on his ear, just like, "You got scammed. You got scammed." She pulls into my little warehouse and she goes, "I told you, we got scammed." So he picked up like truck number 22 or something. It was my dad's first day. So I said, "Dad, can you train this guy?" He goes, oh, hell yeah, I can train the guy.
FOF, coming in hot, man.
Founder
of the founder.
He had so much energy. And, 30, 40 minutes later, he goes, you put some ice in here, you push that button, ice comes out, put some flavor on it, and it's real easy, Mark. Push this button and go. And so Mark goes down. We talk almost every day. About 20 days into it, he hits a toy festival or something, whatever it was. He did really well, and I was like, I'm done. Haven't talked to Mark since then. No, I'm just joking. But Mark's got 6 or 7 franchises now.
All you had to do then was just run the Kona Ice business and just give him the platform.
Yeah.
See, that's what's awesome.
Yeah.
Right? So he's that guy. He's that same entrepreneur-minded person.
Yeah, yeah.
Because he's had challenges. He just doesn't call you with them.
Yeah, the entrepreneur is different from the small business owner.
Talk about that.
Well, what I love about the franchising business, because not everyone's got it soup to nuts. They don't have, is that an expression you can use?
Yeah, it is. And so I think, soup to nuts thing, it's like, hey, from beginning to end,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And so what you're saying is a business owner can probably buy the Kona truck. Right. You had to be the entrepreneur.
I'm the entrepreneur.
Yep.
I develop the systems and processes.
Yep.
He comes in, follows the plan, and he helps me morph the plan. You've heard all the stories with McDonald's when they, the Cincinnati franchisee came up with the fish fillet. Yep. And I love those stories because my franchisees have added to my company unbelievably. There's a young lady right now. I sent her a text yesterday because she came in and taught. I had 75 franchisees in the building for the last 2 days. We call it master's class. They come in and learn, above and beyond what they learned. And she comes in and she just crushes it. She's action planning everybody, doing all these things. And all I text was, "Thank you so much for adding to this company." And she goes, "Thanks for the opportunity." And that's the give and take of having a franchise with 1,400 franchises. Man, here they come with ideas. Now, granted, not all of them are good ideas.
And we don't have to talk about that because they wouldn't want to hear about themselves.
Right. I'm not going to use names.
No, but you know what? Here's what sucks about this is if any of those 1,400, when it comes out in a couple weeks and you share it, and if any of those 1,400 people that aren't performing the way they want to, if they can't handle that self-awareness, they probably did the wrong thing.
Yeah, they did the wrong thing. Listen,
right.
It's happened. It happens. Yep. It's the 80-20 rule for that matter. I don't know, but it's just people come in. It's more work than they thought. It's more this. It wasn't what they thought. There's a lot of you get this inertia going where our culture is so good. People just get attracted to it. I'm the personification. I'm a normal guy. I talk normal. I've got all these webinars out there, on my website where people just are like, "Oh, I just love Tony Lamb." I'm like, you probably wouldn't if you knew me, but
that's why they do.
But they do. They come in. They're like, I trust him. He's a normal guy. I'm very transparent. I'll tell you when I'm, when what's working, what's not working. Sometimes too much. But
but you're the face. See, this is why, because they have, there's an affinity, man, for guys that do what you've done that have built this platform because you allow somebody who's a business owner that maybe didn't have the final 3 pieces, but guess what? They didn't need to.
Yeah.
And they get to use and you built this thing and gave them an opportunity, and they had to pitch you, and you believed enough.
Right.
No, man, there's an affinity because without you, they don't have it.
Right. And you got to figure out what the cost is. A lot of franchises charge a lot. I don't charge a lot.
What's it cost to?
Well, it's $125,000 or something for the truck, the territory, the training, everything, whatever the number is. It started out at 90. I think it's 137 now or whatever with whatever. But
if Mark was going to,
yeah.
If I said, "Hey, Tony, I'm giving up my whole life. I'm cashing in the real estate thing.
Yeah.
I've bought into Kona Ice.
Yeah.
Where's the one territory in your mind right now? Is there one left in the U.S.? Is there one?
It's Texas or it's Florida.
Okay.
It's Texas is so business friendly. It's unbelievable.
I was down there last year. I drove the state. Yeah,
people get in business, no problem.
So where would I go? So if I'm like, okay, I'm going to invest $137,000. Who needs to move where?
Florida. I go to Florida. Listen, we've had people move. I've got 30% of my people year before last, had to move to get territory. So
I'm talking. So this is happening.
This is happening all over the place. So, but Florida is nice because you get a longer season. If you take a real aggressive person down to Florida, they'll kill it. Because
that's what I'm saying. I want you to tell me what Tony would do because I know I'm a guy.
Yeah.
That I'd do what Tony did.
Yeah, I would. If it was me, I would go do some interviewing on some franchisees and who's kind of 1 foot out. And I would camp right in beside him. I had a real sharp guy. It's like he said, "I want to move to such and such state." I don't want to give his name out, but I want to move to such and such state because so and so was getting ready to retire. And he moved in there. He got 1 truck, got right up beside the guy, became friends. The guy sold out to him. Now he's got 5 or 6 trucks, and he's crushing it.
What would I make? So if I invested in me, let's just say I'm Tony.
Yep.
Or what would Tony? If Tony didn't own Kona, But let's say your brother started Kona.
Right.
Right? And you said, all right, man, so whatever. I should have done it, but I didn't. But I'm going to invest, and I'm going to $137,000 investment.
Right.
You go to Florida.
Yeah.
What would let's say the first 6 months you're getting off the ground.
Yeah.
Month 7 through month 18. What would Tony make? What would you make?
You're going to make a couple $100,000 gross, and you're going to get home with little. It depends on if you're servicing debt. A little more than half of that.
What about the second year? What would Tony do?
Well, you got to buy more equipment.
Okay.
I mean, truck maxes out at something like that. My older brother, is in the Kona business. I got him in the business in 2011, I think.
So 5 trucks, crush it. Tony has 5 trucks. You make $350 to $400K.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have some fall off.
I had 3 people at this master's class come up to me and said, I made $1 million this year. They grossed $1 million. You get home with half. They're like, I made $1 million this year. They're like, don't tell anybody. I'm like, I don't care.
I just won't tell them your name. I'm going to tell you the success story. Kudos to you, man. Without you doing this, they wouldn't have done it.
Yeah, that's what I love about my franchisees. They're so gracious. They're like, this one guy from Tennessee is like, you changed my life. You changed my life. And he's really a great guy, and he's a hard worker, but he's got to his business to where it's a little bit passive. He's got good managers in there running it, and he's like, yeah, we did over $1 million this year.
How'd that feel?
Felt great. That's what you're going for, isn't it? Because my customer is not the little 8-year-old that comes up to the truck. My customer is the franchisee. And so I focus on that. Now, here's something I was listening to your podcast so many times. What's missing? What doesn't get said sometimes? What doesn't get said sometimes, the nuances of a business is, I've got 140 people on my staff. A large contingent of it's dealing with franchisees. Well, if you're dealing with a franchisee, there probably is a problem. So you got someone who's going on somebody else's territory. You got somebody cutting whatever. You just got crap. And we deal with that all the time. We got trucks that break, or this and that, and the batteries didn't fail, or the air conditioner's not turning on, or what. You got 1,400 trucks around the country, and another 800 ancillary pieces of equipment. So you got 2,500 points of sale. I got 4 guys that are in upfit or in truck support, so they take these calls all the time.
Triage, baby.
Oh, it's just triage. Just get them back to business or whatever. But here's the problem. Over time, your guys will fatigue, and they'll think this is a terrible business because all they're dealing with is the problems. So monthly or quarterly or whatever, when I have a full staff meeting, I get in there and I redirect the priority. The priority is to the franchisee. Listen, these are great franchisees. You're only hearing from, A, B, and C, and the rest of the alphabet is loving it. And you're hearing from A, B, and C because they're having this problem or that problem or this problem. Understand, the majority of people out there are just crushing it. So anytime I get an email that says, Tony, you changed my life, I pass it. I put it on the corporate box. I let them talk. I send a video team down to do an interview with them. I share that story over and over and over and over and over with my corporate staff so they understand what we're talking about here. They are helping people make a great living. And I work on my franchisees. Appreciate the staff. You don't want their job. Truck support. Like we're starting this. We launched this coffee, Travelin Tom's Coffee, and they're like, I only had 50 chassis. I had 20 the first time, and I got 30. And they're like, I had 160 people want it. I was like, how do I pick 30 out of 160? I go to truck support. Who is great to deal with when there's problems, and there's a who is the one that is not going to cause us the most pain? And they're like, not this person, not this person, not this person. So boom, off the list they go. I mean, eventually, yes, but not in the beginning. I can't handle it in the beginning. So and they don't, the franchisees don't get that. I'm like, and so I go to the franchising department. I'm like, okay, girls, who is on this list? Who is a no? Who is a yes? I didn't make the decisions myself. I took the heat because people were like, you picked your favorites. I'm like, I didn't pick my favorites. I don't care.
And even if they are, there's a reason.
There's a reason. That's exactly right. There's a reason, because it's not, don't talk to me or don't. It's just be a partner. We're in this together. It blows me away. Someone will buy a Kona truck, come in, love the business, buy a Kona truck, drive out, call truck support, and talk to them like a dog because they're entitled. And you're like, no. This is a partnership. This is your partner. This is the whole deal. And I preach to this when they come into college. I said, we are partners. This is your team. This person in creative that's doing the design, this truck support person, this fulfillment person, these are your friends. These are your partners.
So has that been a massive struggle from the franchising piece of the business? Getting people to buy into the identity? Because this goes back to when you found purpose, and I do want to touch on that. It's kind of like, so you started, you had to make money. So at what point did you identify the purpose is probably people and community? I'm assuming that's what it comes down to.
That's exactly right.
Where'd the community piece, when did that happen? Year 5, year 6, year 7, year 10? When you really said, okay, we're making a lot of money here, guys and gals.
Right.
Right? Got a good life. We probably need to give back and make a difference.
It was early on because of that 2008, 2009. We put that into the business model, that give back component, and they did it for business in the beginning, but then it felt so good.
Is that the shared thing then between a franchisee? What's the tough thing? That person who drives out and they start just yapping it at truck support.
Yeah.
What didn't they get? What don't they get? Because when they go out there in the community, they're not going to be as good of a community partner.
Correct.
So what is that piece? So if I ever franchise pivot, I'm concerned about it.
Yeah.
My idea is I'm going to have a leadership academy. It's slower growth.
Right.
And when I open in Dallas in 3 years, when I open in Tampa and open in Nashville, 3 states where there's no state income tax.
Right.
What do you know with massive growth? So when we open in those states, I just have this opinion, and it's a limited opinion, but, man, I got to bring them in-house for 6 months or 12 months.
Yeah.
They got to buy into this idea of pivot, because if not, they can go work at RE/MAX, Century 21, Keller Williams, Better Homes and Garden, Caldwell Banker. It's endless.
Right.
What makes them want to be a part of this thing and tie them in?
It's going to have to be you. It comes from you. You got to relay that culture. You got to get that passion out there. People want to be associated with a winner. They want to be associated with something that it's bigger than themselves. They're passionate about it. When I cut loose on a newsletter, or I cut loose from the stage, we have a convention in February. We got 1,400 people going to show up at the Northern Kentucky Convention Center, and it is raucous. And for the first 8 or 9 years, it's dry, because I'm like, I can barely tolerate some people sober, and I can't imagine them all getting drunk on me. But I mean, they're going to the bars, they're going everywhere else, so they're getting drunk anyway. So we're going to have the bar or whatever. So, but it is raucous. But I'll get up on stage, and if I cut loose, and sometimes it's not prescribed, but I'll cut loose. It's the most. They get thrilled. They get so excited. They get impassioned. They want that from me. They want to see that I am still. 15 years later, I'm still as fired up about this business, because we've given back $130 million to communities. We're the biggest food truck company in the world. We're, these moments. I remember in 2013, Entrepreneur called us the #1 new franchise in the United States. And I made that announcement, and I always think it's a little bit pay to play, or there's always
use it, baby.
Oh, I know, and I got that information about a month before convention. I said I'm going to hold that. The Entrepreneur magazine's not coming out, so I'm going to hold it. I'm going to announce it at convention. So we have this year in review video. It goes up. There's about 1,000 people there. Video goes up, and the last thing that comes up on the video is we're #1 Entrepreneur new franchise. And I got up on stage out of that. People were losing their minds. And I missed it, because they were crying. It was so emotional, because it validated them through a third party. Because, you get a Kona truck and you tell your family, I'm going to buy a shaved ice truck. They're like, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? If you need money, I'll give you money. Whatever. They just dog everybody, because no one's really happy for you unless they're benefiting from it. So my franchisees get a little brutalized, I guess, in the fact that they're saying, hey, I'm going to buy a Kona truck. I think it's getting better, because Kona's getting a little national at this point. But
validation at times, listen, if you need it, it's going to hold you back. But, there's these moments that it all comes back, all the judgment, all the stuff, and it's validation. And it's like, told you.
Yeah.
Let me just walk up here. Let me just walk by, baby. Let me just show up.
We got the number. I was the number. What was it? Business Courier. I was the top CEO in Cincinnati, large company, last year in Business Courier.
Dave and Jack,
look that up.
Did you know that?
Look that up. I got it.
Did you know that? That we got the #1 CEO from the entire Cincinnati region. There's 2.2 million people in our MSA. You know that, right?
Yeah, but here's the good part. I went down to the little mixer before it was that, and I had a new person that was working in my PR, and they're like, "I'm going to put you in this." I was like, "I don't want the exposure." I said, "I'm fine in Cincinnati. National exposure I'll take, because it helps the brand. I don't need any help in Cincinnati." So, but she pursued, and so she goes, "You got to go to this mixer. They're all going to be down there. All the candidates are going to be down there." So I go down there, and Brittany Ruby's there. Jeff Ruby's daughter, and she is tough, and she is smarter than the average bear, and just she's a stud. and we're talking and everything, and everyone's kind of mixing around. I'm like, what am I doing here? I drive an ice cream truck. You know, I sell ice cream. You know,
Did you have a moment of I don't belong here?
A little bit.
Okay,
but,
you're not gonna tell anybody.
Yeah,
but you did.
Oh yeah, because that's why I really don't want to do it. I don't want to get. I mean, everyone's like, I've got I've got Pivot. I've got a 9-story building that looks like the Taj Mahal or whatever.
Shh. We're trying to do more of them. Don't tell anybody. We're trying to creep up on them.
Well, I mean, there's big players in this room.
Yeah, I would say this. I would say Jeff Weiler Automotive.
Yeah.
Cintas.
Yeah.
Probably Great American Insurance.
Yeah.
The Cincinnati Reds. FC Cincinnati. Just on and on and on and on.
And they're big mockers. What are they? That's a Jewish word. Big mockers in the room, and they're all. And I feel a little out of place. I know we're doing something cool. Here's why I know, because everybody wants to talk to me. Because, I was at a Fifth Third meeting or whatever, and this guy's got his JMJ Holdings. And I was like, it's on his name tag. I said, what's that? And he started talking. I said, I'm sorry, I went to sleep there for a second. I said, that was really boring, brother. And he goes, I know, tell me about Kona Ice. That's actually interesting. And I said, I know.
Well, back 27 BC with Nero, let me tell you something.
I mean, he would laughed it off, but I was like, oh, I just woke up.
That's a talent.
Yeah.
You actually insulted a dude, you weren't even intentionally insulting. Be like, dude, that was boring.
Yeah.
And you got away with it.
Yeah, because he was like, you could tell he was kind of running out of. He was trying to validate himself. He was kind of running out of steam. I was like, whoa, I just woke up. I said, did I miss something?
All right, so you're Brittany Ruby.
Okay, so
yeah. All the people in the room, a little moment of insecurity.
And here's the big time. We leave. It's over. We leave. I walk out. I'm walking out on the streets down in Cincinnati, and she walks into this custom van. There's a driver, opens up the door of this custom van, and it looks like, you can't even imagine what it looks like in there. It looks like better than my living room. And she gets in there and sits down in this, lazy boy chair, and they shut the door. And we make eye contact, and they just shut the door. She gets in and drives away. I get in my pickup truck and drive home.
I thought you were saying you got your Kona-shaped ice truck. I swear to God.
That would have been money right there.
In the front seat driving.
Yeah.
Like, hey, guys, I got to go to an event.
I got an event. I got a birthday party, man. I got to go. Driver called in on me. I drove home. So a week later or whatever, the same young lady that would put me in the thing, she comes down and she said, today at 1:30 they're going to announce the winners. I was like, yeah, you take care of that for me. I'm not going to be on that.
Did she say you need to be there?
Yeah, she said you need to be. It was virtual. She said you need to be there on the Zoom. I said I'm not going to be there. I said I got stuff to do. So she comes down. She goes, you won. And I was like, no way. I can't. I got to. So I just immediately picked up the phone and scheduled dinner at Ruby's. That's like, I got to run into Brittany.
So you can walk in and peacock all the way up in there? Is that what it is?
I said, daggone you, woman.
I should have been your uneducated PR guy, because I was like, you're driving a Kona truck to Ruby's and you're parking it out front for dinner, man. This is the shit we're doing today, Tony.
I ran into her, I don't know, a couple months later or whatever. Was in a big group and some people that were
notoriety.
Yeah, there was some big people that I was with. We were doing closing a deal or whatever, and she knew everybody, and she's talking to them or whatever. And she looks at me and she goes, "Hi, I'm Brittany Ruby," and I said, "Yeah, I'm Tony Lamb. Nice to meet you." She goes, "Wait a minute, you're the Kona Ice guy. You're the guy that beat me." And I was like, "Yes, I am." And that's the only moment that I've ever had with that.
I don't think she loses often.
She doesn't lose ever. That's
the one time.
Yeah, that's a good deal right there. I mean, they run a professional company. She's sharp as a tack.
Been down to the new one.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
As soon as I could get in.
Yeah.
So it's crazy.
Every time somebody comes in, I take them down there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jeff's. Yeah.
Yeah. My business partners are from New York, and they're like, "This is the greatest. This is a New York steakhouse. This is crazy good."
You know what I try to do? I used to be that guy that I want to prop it up, like, "Oh, you came to Cincy. You're about to go to the best steakhouse in the world."
Yeah.
But then I was like, "Hey, stop, Mark. Like, let it be the best."
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm already propping it up. We go in there, and it's like, well, yeah, you said it was going to be the best steak, so whatever, it's the best.
Right.
Now they're blown away, and they think I gave them the best opportunity and experience.
Yeah, we had our ad council in, so our advertising council that elected franchisees came in town. We took them to the precinct Monday night.
I love the precinct.
Yeah, the steaks cut like butter, brother.
Where do you like sitting? I like sitting back in that bar area where there's the booths, but you probably sat down in the living room.
No, we were up top with I had 60 people there, so the bill was a little steep.
That's what happens with number one, guys.
Yeah, bill was a little steep. So I was like,
steep.
I was like, wow, really?
That $10,000 dinner bill, baby.
Yeah, we had like an open bar. Everybody's drinking. I was like, whoa, what's going on here?
So when the 1,400 people come to town in February,
yeah,
what's that going to be like?
This is the biggest we've had. We're like 300 higher right now registered than we ever been. So it's, we had that pent up. We canceled it in 2021, came back in 22. We had it in February this year, and it was good. It was really good. But you had that little wave, little bump of COVID hitting. So we had about 100, 150 people back out right at the end. And so I think we were 1,000, maybe 1,100 or whatever. But this year it's just unglued, and everyone's coming. And we've run out. We've sold out the Marriott. We've sold out the Embassy. We've sold out Hotel Covington, and now we're looking for a fourth hotel to sell that because people can't get rooms.
How important is that for your year?
It's because a lot of them are off. In the off season, the winter. They need that to get started again. So they come for I always say they come to get motivated, they come to get educated, and they come to get inspired. So let's do that. Let's get them. Let's have all those three things happen. So we educate them with breakout sessions and things like that. We inspire them with good stories, testimonials, or something like that. And then I get up on stage and sometimes I bring some people in. I'm not a bad speaker, believe it or not. I've brought some motivational speakers in, and
they don't do it like you though.
They don't have because I love this business. I love this.
So
business.
What do you love? I want to talk about this passion thing.
Yeah.
Jack's laughing. 2 nights ago. No, was this last night? 2 nights ago. So he's awesome. He's in-house photography, videography. You have all this stuff.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah, he's awesome. So not too many 22-years have it put together like him.
Yeah. Of course, he's wearing an Elder shirt, and I was like, "You still go to Elder? You look a little old."
Well, that's what they do. He'll be wearing that shit when he's 50. We know what's. Hey, where'd you go to school? He's not going to say OU Bobcats. Went to Elder.
Yeah.
That's how it goes. Moeller, say next. I don't know. LaSalle.
Yeah.
But 2 nights ago, every once in a while, I have these rants.
Yeah. Every once in a while, seriously, it seemed like you're kind of a ranter.
Okay, every once in a while, I'm more passionate. I'm more passionate than other times. And there's something that's been really irritating me about the billionaires in this world, about this principle they keep on talking about, find your passion.
Yeah.
And it keeps on striking this chord because they're so influential on LinkedIn and on social media, and everybody's looking up to them. It's Jeff Bezos, Richard Branson, Elon Musk, even a Warren Buffett.
Mm-hmm.
And they keep on saying, you have to do what you love. You have to go find your passion.
Yep.
And I'm like, hey, assholes. I found my passion once I started.
Right.
I found my passion after I realized I was going all in and developed some skills and then realized I could make a difference.
Right.
They're having these kids wait until they're 30 and 35 and 40 thinking that they're just going to be able to, paint a painting on a wall and they're going to make $150,000. Right. So I don't know what your take on it is. I bet you weren't passionate about shaved ice in the beginning.
No. There's 50 things I wasn't passionate about. You find the passion. It's the same thing about personal relationships. I've been married for 30 years. Do you think I'm like, oh my God, like I was when I first met my wife? I saw my wife. I'm thinking that's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. You think I still have the same thing? I do, because I direct my own mind. I direct my own passion. I am you are so much in control of your emotions and everything else. Why do you have to wait to be inspired? Just be inspired. Just go after it. Convince yourself. I wake up in the morning. I told you before I walked in here, I'm like, why did I do this podcast at 3 p.m? I start every day excited, motivated. I'm punching. I'm excited. It's just a great. And then as the day wears on, just problem after problem after problem, and I'm pissed by the time I walk in here.
And then we're happy.
We're happy again. I'm pulling it off.
That's my job, man. It's my job. Just say, hey, just make Tony smile once, and he's going to get it again. But it really is irritating, this passion thing, because I'm like, guys, there's nothing I've personally done. Either I have it completely wrong, or I've got it right like the majority of the people. Nothing that I've done from a work perspective, I didn't start with the passion. Maybe there's somebody, I want to be a nurse. Okay, great. Like, lucky you.
Right.
It's awesome. Maybe you wanted to be a firefighter. Maybe you wanted to be a police officer.
Right.
But I think that's a rare exception from my experience.
It has to be. I mean, passion, pure emotion, it just wears out. You think about a 2-year-old that sees an ice cream truck and they lose their mind, and then the 26-year-old sees an ice cream truck. It's like, yeah, whatever.
You know the word I like the best? It's purpose.
Yeah.
So I found purpose within my business.
Right.
When I heard you unlock this thing about, hey, it's about community. When I heard you talk about, let me tell you about the best franchise. That's what you said. Here's the franchise that's going to work, and this one isn't. It's like you have a purpose behind this business.
Right.
You don't even like shaved ice.
Right.
There is purpose about what you can do in the community.
Yep.
And I think if you can be a person that's really trying to change lives, make a difference, I think you probably started out as a good dude.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, you're going to say that and you're going to self-deprecate, but you're probably a good guy because I don't think you can go out and make the impact and sell people and convince others to buy a shaved ice truck, and you're the passion behind it,
Right.
and then they can help find purpose. So I think we just need to help people say, hey, no matter what you're doing, I'm assuming the person running a Skyline, they can probably find purpose.
Sure.
Right? The person who's the manager at this BP station.
Right.
That's what we have to talk about here, man. It's really driving me nuts every time I hear this because
Yeah, they're waiting for this divine intervention.
it probably doesn't drive you crazy as much as it does me.
Yeah. I mean, if you get me talking about it, I can get pissed about a lot of things. But
I just see it right now, even over the past 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
I just see these things about quiet quitting, and I'm like, okay. I go back to how I've been this limited amount of success I've had so far in life. I just did more. I just always did more.
Yeah.
I wasn't complaining. I didn't complain about not getting the raise, not getting the promotion,
Right.
being looked over, not being the favorite. I just realized, okay, that's the world I'm in.
Right.
Okay, if somebody else beat me out, if you like them more, this hierarchy I'm not in, I got to work more. Well, hey, Mark, why would you do it? Well, because I realized that during the holiday season of 1998, I'm in Iowa City, Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
I moved out there to run this little hat world.
Mm-hmm.
My mom's like, what are you doing? I'm 19 years old. I go do it. Managers are quitting all over the place because they've had fast growth.
Yeah.
So I'm in Iowa City, Coral Ridge Mall in Iowa City. And I'm a 19-year-old guy. I've been a store manager for 4 months. And the big 6 weeks of retail are coming.
Yep.
Which is really 2 weeks before, right around Black Friday, but right before Thanksgiving through New Year's. And they all start quitting. I'm making like $26,000 to run that stupid little hat store.
All right.
Have to pay for an apartment, have to pay all those. I'm making no money.
Right.
And in the Quad Cities, Moline, Illinois, manager quits. Throws down the gate, keys through the gate.
That's quitting.
That's quitting.
Yeah.
Right? Store's not going to open the next day.
Yeah.
So they call me. I was like, okay, that's great. A week later, Sioux Falls, South Dakota, manager quits.
Yep.
Week later, Cedar Rapids, Iowa, which
Good
is
night.
Okay?
Yeah.
Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
So how in the world are you going to keep the employees there? But what happened was for the next 6 weeks, I worked open to closes.
Yeah.
For 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And at the end of every night, I drove to one of the other cities.
Yeah.
They didn't pay me more money. They were saving 3 manager salaries. It wasn't about that. It's like, this is triage. We got some bad shit going down here. This needs to happen. I care about what I'm doing here at work. Just show up.
Yeah.
February of 1999, they're like, we need a salesman. We need a training manager. We need someone to go around this country and to train the new managers when we open up stores.
Yeah.
Not 21. Hey, Mark, here's a company car. Here's a corporate expense account. You're not even 21 years old. Go do this thing.
Yeah.
Everyone else that was double my age looking around like, what the hell just happened?
Right.
Why'd he get this?
Right. Yeah, worked them.
And so I don't know why not just young people. I don't know why everybody doesn't understand this concept.
Yeah.
Just do more.
Yeah. You think people are more comfortable, just so comfortable right now? And I mean, I've got 4 kids. I've got kids 27 to 19. My 19-year-old, highly motivated. You know, she works at Kona. She's a concert photographer. 27's working at Kona, crushing the guys. You work anybody on the table, just works crazy. Anyway, I look at
go here. Yes,
but,
talk about this.
But talking to their friends and talking to things, you're looking at people that are like, they're just gigging. They call it gigging. They're like, I'll spend 8 hours or spend 2 hours doing Grubhub, and I'll spend 2 hours at Uber, and I'll spend 2 hours here, and I make enough money to survive, and then go home and play video games. You look at your phone, you look at your video game. How many hours are people putting in? I don't know.
So, because here's what I want to do. Here's what I love about this conversation with you. I used to complain and be upset about it. I'm all about problem solving now.
Right.
Right. And it's like, yeah, I think people are comfortable. So the question I go down, I'm like, is that okay? It wouldn't be okay for me.
No.
But I'm like, is it okay? The reason why I'm concerned about them is I know what type of life it's going to lead to.
I know. Well, the problem is they'll vote at some point. And you know what happens when a non-worker votes? It always doesn't go good for us guys that are
okay. So what do we do without going down some deep tunnel and deep path?
Right.
If that's the case, do we just have to let it work itself out? Do we just have to let them get to a point where the free money's up?
Right.
You don't get to live the life when the new bill comes for the iPhone 16.
Right.
And you don't have the $1,400
right
to buy it. Just got as a school of hard knocks.
Yeah, I don't know. Listen, there's so many conspiracy theories out there, or all these. I I don't know. I used to think I knew some stuff. COVID came along and it proved me wrong. I was wrong more than I was right.
What'd you think you knew?
I thought this will be done. We'll get back to work. The world will settle back down. I thought we'll get to some normalcy. And still, I mean, we're 3 years later and it's not normal.
Here's what's happened. It's affected people's habits.
Yeah, 100%. 100% is their expectations. The money flowed so easily for a long time. We just came off the biggest year we've ever had. We're in the middle of the biggest year we ever had. We're up 40%. 15 years, we're up 40%. I'm talking to franchisees. They're like, I don't know what happened. Just the gates, the spigots turned on, blah, blah, blah. I couldn't keep up. If they could have hired better, they would have even made more money. They struggled to hire. You couldn't. I had a franchisee down close to the Outer Banks, by the way, who parked a truck because they couldn't get regular labor. And so, Mark, we can sit here and
so what do we do, right?
Yeah, but let me look at it as an opportunity. I'm going to succeed. The world needs ditch diggers, Danny. That's a great line from Caddyshack.
And you know what? I was one for a little while.
Right.
See, that's the problem, though.
Right.
I was a ditch digger.
Right.
You were selling sweepers.
Right.
We put in our time.
Right.
Learned some skills.
Right. Paid attention.
Damn straight we did.
Right. Paid attention. Look for the next opportunity. Work up.
Skills evolved.
Right.
Right. And so that's the question. It's like, guys, so I'm sitting here talking to Mo Egger.
Yeah.
Who's the local sports guy.
Oh, yeah. I listened to that last night.
So
I like the first hour of being sports, just sports.
He was just crushing with it. He's so brilliant and smart.
Geez.
We have some stuff coming out tomorrow or today, and we'll go across the hall and do some stuff too. And it's these hot takes.
Yeah.
And I said, Pete Rose. Like, there's some hot takes we got from him.
Right.
Yeah. So, but his story for 10 years, man.
Yeah.
10 years. That's what it takes.
Right.
To get to the point where you're the sports guy, you have your own show in Cincinnati.
Yep.
You might have to put in 8, 10, or 12, or 15. I just want people to know that it's still worth it, and you should go all in and do this stuff. And I don't know.
But if they don't, they'll work for us.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not trying to be an elitist here, but because you get that, because now people are down on that's what I can't stand is this vitriol towards the billionaires.
They better, you know what they should be? They should be thankful that they got you, man.
Yeah.
Because they should.
Yeah.
Because then one layer down, the business owner, they should be thankful they have you.
Yeah, I'm thankful for Jeff Bezos.
And you know who you're thankful for too?
Who?
FOF, baby.
That's right. Founder of the founder. He said it in a meeting or a graduation speech. He just goes off. It's completely. And he said, if it wasn't for me, there'd be no Tony Lamb. He said, so all you guys made money this year because of me chasing my wife back in Marshall University, 65 years ago. He brought the whole speech around. But it was
they erupted.
Oh, they erupted. But his whole speech is about passion. Find passion in your life. Whatever you do, find passion in it. But at the end of the day, you can't control people. We can give them the great advice. We can do podcasts. We can read books. We can suggest all this stuff. At the end of the day, they're going to do what they want to do. But the world needs ditch diggers.
Do you know why this is such a thing for me? Because I want them to have a better life.
I know, me too.
That's what I want. I started this real estate pivot thing.
Yeah.
I really believed that everyone wanted to change their life.
Right.
Given the opportunity, everyone. They just haven't had the opportunity.
Yeah. But I mean, I find more passion now, and I said this the other day, I've got a young lady who I just promoted to vice president. She's 30 years old. She comes in, with some managerial skills, but she just crushes it, lays it down, crushes it, and promotion. I just promoted her to vice president. I got another guy that started out as a driver, graduates high school, comes in, first day, got a customer complaint. I said, listen, Derek, it was a really nice young man, Mr. Lamb. And I said, listen, this is not about how fast you can serve shaved ice. This is about how great you can make that customer experience from that window. And he goes, okay, I understand now. He never had another customer complaint. Best driver, became a manager, assistant manager, running local ops, manager. He was going to UK, graduates top of his class at the architectural school at UK, and then kills his parents by saying, I'm going to open up a Kona franchisee or Kona franchise as close as I can. Calls me and says, where's the closest place? I said, I don't know. I said, you want a big market? Chicago. You want a small market? Evansville, Indiana. He goes, Evansville. I'm going to go to Evansville. Goes down there, builds his business, does great, comes back to corporate in the winter, helps me, just works around the company. Promotes. I made him a vice president 6 months ago. Great bonus structure, all these things. I get more jacked, more turned on about giving opportunity to people that want it.
Yep. Than the people who don't.
don't.
Okay, so here's what I just realized through all this so we can be happy again. Just come and work for Kona and pivot.
That's it. At the end of the day, the opportunity is there.
100%.
100%. I mean, we would let, obviously you've let people go. We've had people that didn't make it in the business. There's a couple departments that chew people up because they're hard working. So, if someone's like not hard working, you kind of promote them to that department and watch these guys chew them alive.
Yep.
Because these guys are the ones getting there at 8, leaving at 6 or 7, just crushing it.
There's some real world stuff out here, but what you want to tell those people is like, hey, life's about choices, baby.
Yeah, that's right. It's all up to them.
It is.
It's all up to them. If people think, well, I got passed over. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You made a conscious decision not to put in the extra time, not to give me the extra effort, not to work, because I'm paying attention, baby. And if I'm paying attention, and I tell everybody that, I am paying attention. I'm listening. Even if your manager or your department head is giving you the review, I'm listening to those reviews. And I'll talk to them all the time. Hey, who's crushing it in your department? So-and-so. And people move laterally and differently in the company. They'll just say, hey, what about the Dakota? You're going to promote her? We'd like to have her in our department. I mean, all this motion goes on, and it's like everyone's vying for read this guy in fulfillment. They're like, hey, we want to read. I'm like, in fulfillment, the head of fulfillment's going like, don't touch him. Don't touch him. This guy's incredible. I said, make sure he has a path. I just said this to, actually I said it to the girl that just went vice president. I said, she had someone put in there 2 weeks. And I said, maybe I shouldn't say that.
Well, here's the thing.
I said, if you're not telling them about their future every single day, if you're not keeping them excited about their future, you're going to lose people. It's an interesting world we're living in. So we can pay good. We can provide great culture. We have a great place to work. We have all the benefits and all this stuff. But talk about their future. Talk about where they can be in 2 years.
What level of importance is that? Is that like most important now when me and you may not have talked about that 5, 6, 7 years?
Yeah.
Does that seem like most important now?
Yes, because you want to keep great people, and if you lose somebody because now great people are such a great commodity. I mean, it's such a rarity. It's a rare earth element. You're like, oh my gosh, this person's crushing it. Make sure we don't lose them, and we'll do that. We'll look at a department and say we couldn't lose that department. We couldn't lose that guy in that department. So make sure he's happy.
We're gonna have massive pain if we do.
Yeah.
Massive pain.
Massive pain. Make sure we don't lose that guy. Make sure he's happy. I want you to talk to him. I want you to talk to him about his future.
What's Kona going to be in like 3 years, 3 to 5 years? What are you going to be, baby? Huh?
I'm going to have 5,000. I say I. Let me pull that back.
We
are going to have 5,000.
Hey, can we be a part of we? Because we're in Northern Kentucky.
Yeah.
You started in Northern Kentucky.
Absolutely.
Can we kind of own this thing with you?
I freaking love Northern Kentucky.
Okay.
I pulled the convention out of Cincinnati to put it in Northern Kentucky because I'm thinking, I love Northern Kentucky,
yep.
man. My wife and I are sitting there talking. We were watching the CMAs last night.
Yep.
And they had that song.
Alan Jackson got the CMA Train of the Year or something.
Yeah, he had
what song though?
It was the out of Harlan or whatever, when Eastern Kentucky, that you don't leave Harlan alive or something. But it was, then another girl sang a song about Kentucky, and you're like about Loretta Lynn. Mm-hmm. And I looked over at my wife and I said, I love living here. I'm not from here. She's not from here. We've been here, 20 some years or whatever. And I said, I love Kentucky.
Was that the coal miner's daughter?
Yeah. What was that? Carly Pearson or something?
Hey, Dave, here's why I need to come to the podcast to have Tony tell me about what happened on the CMAs. Because I was working.
I was in bed, brother.
So, but no, I mean, I don't want to get you off that topic a ton, right? But I think we're a part of this thing with you. So you guys are going to what? Out of Northern Kentucky. Yeah. Was it Florence or was it Burlington? Was that the address? What was the address?
It's Florence.
Okay,
the address
so
is Florence.
So what are you going to be in 3 years? 5,000 what?
Let's see. No, I can't get there in 3 years, but I'll get to 2,500 in 3 years. 2,500. Between Toms, I got 250 chassis this year. I haven't been able to get chassis for 2 years.
Do you have the same chassis for the coffee as you do for the Kona Ice?
Yeah, I just ubiquitous. So
okay. So you have 250 chassis.
Yep.
And those are going to go out some to Kona, but mostly to Travelin Tom's Coffee.
No, reverse. I got too much demand for Kona, so I got 150 going to Kona and 100 going to Travelin Tom's.
How many chassis, if you had every one that you could sell this year or put out on the street, how many?
Well, I mean, I could probably sell 400, but it would stress the system.
Yeah,
it would stress it. I don't want truck support, new equipment delivery, fulfillment. It would stress everybody.
So 250. Can 250 then become 350?
Yeah, that's the plan.
Okay.
So we're building this infrastructure, and we've got this incredible software called Kona OS operating system, and it's the foundation of for franchisees to be able to use. and then we can just place other brands on top of it. So you build your database, you build your customer base, and all this stuff, and you're crushing it with Kona. And then all of a sudden you drop coffee on it. You send an email blast to your database. Hey, we now got coffee. Let's book up, and it's all automated and all this stuff. I've got a couple $1 million in this software we've built from scratch. My brother comes in, and my brother's a smart guy. He's I tell everybody I got the looks and he got the brains, which doesn't say a whole lot for our family.
I don't know if I want to see him.
I said that when he goes, hey.
He probably said it like that too.
He did.
Hey, now that's not nice.
Like, hey, that's rough, brother. No, he comes in, writes the software, and we're architecting the software we're using, and it's going to be great. So once I get that foundation built, so you got to put all the systems and processes in place, and then we can just drop brands on top of this thing and put it into a system. Everyone gets a food truck trying to get to brick and mortar. Everyone's like, hey, I started a food truck, blah, 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 and I finally got me a restaurant. I'm like, just own food truck. Just get in there and own the concept, and let's not try to get to brick and mortar. Let's try to stay at food truck, because you never have a rent, a traffic pattern, these terrible things that happen with brick and mortar. It's just too much, and I love food truck because the debt extinguishes. You finance a Kona truck, 3 or 4 years, you pay it off, you got no rent. If you're running it out of your house or out of your friend, whatever, you have $300 or $400 rent. You're not paying $7,500 for an end cap, to run your restaurant or whatever.
Could it work though? Could brick and mortar work? I guarantee you've done the studies.
Yeah, we probably opened up 10. Franchisees just really come at us and say, I've got one lady who's just tough, but she bought a 75-year-old snowball stand and rebranded it to Kona, and she's crushing it. But that's the exception, not the rule.
Why is it? Why is that the exception? With me being totally ignorant about it.
It's seasonal, so you got it. So you rent a huge space or whatever. You got to keep it open, and listen. It snows on the ground. People aren't like
coffee and Kona, baby.
Yeah, I know. I think we can get there with coffee, but
what you should be. Kona should become McDonald's.
Yeah,
they own the real estate.
Yeah,
and lease it back to all the franchisees.
Yeah, man. I like to major what I'm good at.
Okay, so
focus what I'm good at.
When this all comes to an end,
yep,
for Tony,
yep,
because at some point it's all coming to an end for all of us,
right?
What do you want to look back and feel and realize, and what do you want it to be?
I got a file on my desk that emails that come from me from franchisees where they've and I don't announce this or talk about it, but it's a pretty thick file. People saying you changed my life. I want the file to get thick. I want people to say it was good knowing Tony Lamb. It was good being in business with Tony Lamb. It made our lives better, and in turn that made that community better. And that's altruistic and fluffy and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, money's great
because you've already made the money.
I made the money.
See, there you go. You're not going to change your life. Right. You can buy another house somewhere.
Right.
You can maybe, if you wanted to, buy the private jet, but you can already get the jet cards. You could do that if you wanted to.
Right.
But it was the hustle was about that in the beginning.
It was, yeah, of course. That's what maybe gets you motivated, gets you up in the morning or whatever. It's just it's not even the money. It's the freedom that money buys you. Mr. Wonderful says that all the time on Shark Tank. It's not money. It's the freedom that it buys you. You say that a lot.
What happened today, boys?
Do you say those exact words?
Perkins says it every day.
For 2 hours.
I'm just going to quote you there.
No. Listen, this is a principle that existed before me and you were in these businesses.
Yeah.
And you get to a place where your mind just knows it.
Right.
And I'm trying to transfer this to our agents.
Yeah.
I'm like, guys, I don't need any more cars. I don't care about that. I'll drive a Toyota, I'm telling you.
Right.
The money is just going to free your wife, baby. That's what this thing's going to do.
Yeah. I don't think about that stuff anymore.
No.
So I can really focus on great people in my organization getting better. It is.
We're sitting in the moment of brilliance here with this dude. No, here's what it feels good. You know what it feels good? It's like, I'm fucking right.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
That's what this is. Listening to you, and it's like, yeah, he gets it. All right, there's somebody else that agrees with me on this. Right. Okay. Are you a book guy?
Every day. Every day. Spend my morning, usually an hour, reading book.
I hate to ask the question of the best. But is there one or two or three that you really love recently?
Recently, Bob Iger's book, because I had a tie into it. I read The Outsiders, which is a great book. It talks about the I think the 7 or 8 greatest CEOs, greatest returns.
Iger was the CEO of Disney, right?
Yeah. So that was talking about what one of the CEOs in The Outsiders was the guy that ran capital management or whatever, who bought ABC. So that whole story is the minnow that swallowed the whale. Little tiny production company radio station buys ABC. Now, so I read the book. It's a great book. It's a good read. I read Ride of a Lifetime, Bob Iger's, and he's talking about he was at ABC when Capitol bought him. And he goes, at noon, the whole 7th Avenue used to be full of limousines taking people out to lunch. He said, Capitol bought us, no limousines. He said they got lean again. They got hungry. They got this, because this is a little company, got backed by Buffett. Buffett backed them. And they came in the minnow that swallowed the whale and just took off. And it was a fascinating, and when those things connect for me, I just love that double perspective. I'm reading Think Again right now by Adam Grant. I just love that because it kind of challenges my thinking. What's some other good stuff? I mean, podcasts are really kind of starting to consume
your time.
Yeah, it is, because
because they're there now.
Right.
The CEOs are there, the influential people, the philosophers, the thinkers.
Yeah.
It's helping me a ton.
Yeah, and it's not through the lens of a writer. It's just pure. And so podcast is really nice and pure, as opposed to, a writer kind of helped him put his thoughts together, and you're like, it's a little filtered, but I want to hear the raw stuff.
Because it'll be filtered, because when I have this idea of a book and so many do, it's going to be a ghostwriter.
Yeah.
I'm going to dump all this stuff and say, here's what it is.
Right.
Build it for me,
Right.
and I'll look at it and say, yeah, it's good. It's going to be a boiled down version of what I would say.
Yeah.
Right.
100%.
I'm reading one now called Blue Fishing. That's an interesting one.
Ooh.
So it is Steve Sims, this guy, Phil Treadwell, who was just here from Texas. He's become buddies with him, and the guy started as a bouncer.
Like that.
And now he's the concierge to the wealthy. He makes anything happen for the wealthy.
Yeah.
And so let's say, who's your favorite musician? Do you have is music your thing?
It's not. It's country music.
Okay, who's your favorite?
Probably Brad Paisley. He's from West Virginia.
You've probably met him.
I haven't.
Okay.
Yeah.
If all of a sudden, when you're 60 years old, and you're like, I'm finally gonna start spending this money, and you have your 60th birthday party, and your mom or your wife's like, I want Brad Paisley to come and perform at Tony's birthday. Steve Sims is the guy who puts it together.
Okay. Yeah,
$100,000, $150,000, whatever. He's the guy, and then also he's the guy that the celebrities call to have him put stuff together.
Yeah.
So it's awesome, and it started as a bouncer.
Yeah.
So I bet his story. I'm just starting to read it. I bet his story. He's on podcast. He was just on Phil Treadwell's. I bet his story is he was probably the best bouncer.
Right.
Somebody recognized something and asked him to do some things, and he probably just landed.
But it was the connections that he started, because he found himself in a job and is looking around. I just said this to one of my sons. I said, just be the best where you're bloom where you're planted. Cliche. And I'm like, you're driving a coffee truck right now. Be the best and figure out, help make the company be better. How do we serve it faster? How do we serve it better? How do we interact with the customer? How do we get from point A to point B quicker?
What's going to happen then?
With my son?
Just with anybody that does that,
they're going to go to the top.
You're going to be seen.
Yeah, they're going to be seen. But this is the bouncer guy. This is exactly what happened. He was like, oh, I know this person. I went a little over the board, and now this person knows my name. Now I can reach out to him and kind of connect him with so-and-so. And then it's just incremental, but it's what it's all about.
That's the choices every day. That's what I talk to, all the people at the real estate company all the time, all the employees, all the agents. It's like, hey, guys, you'll be seen. If you do great things, you'll be seen.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to be liked. You don't have to be.
Right.
Like, it's awesome if you have an awesome personality and you're that rah-rah person behind the scenes. Like, that's awesome and that's valued.
Yeah.
Like, you can't detract from the culture. But you don't have to be a person going all with it. However, if you perform in your job better than anyone else,
right,
you become such an asset to the company, they can't get rid of you.
They have to like you.
I have to embrace them and pull them in.
Right.
And then that's the person you're going to say, they need some more development. Let me spend some time with them.
Right. Yeah, we just started management development training at Kona, because you got these people that are coming in, and you're like, man, I want you in a management position. I tried to bring in some executives, some outside executives, and I just couldn't get a culture fit. So I'm really torn now, or really motivated to take some of these great core people that I have and take them to the next level, teach them management skills so they can go in there and train people underneath of them. And I do the opening talk for it or whatever. Management's one of the hardest things there is to do.
I'd love to hear that, because I have to build this in this company for other markets. And for here, I'd love to hear what you're doing and the success and the failure you're finding.
Yeah. I mean, I've got a great guy working on content and putting things together, and he's aggregating stuff offline or whatever. And we've got this great curriculum or whatever. But it's about the passion that you put behind it, and say, why do you want to be a manager? Why do you want to be able to lead people? It's important that you can lead people and inspire people. It's not so you can lord it over them and tell them what to do. You're missing the whole point if this is why you're in management. If you're in management, to get the extra $1 or $2 an hour. If you're in management training, because that's part of the deal. You go through the 6-week course or whatever. You get a free lunch every day, and you get a couple extra bucks an hour or whatever. If that's why you're there, you miss the boat. And if you're there so you can lord it over somebody or you can tell somebody what to do, you miss the boat. This is about inspiring people and getting people to do more. And replace yourself. I mean, because if you can replace yourself, then I can take you somewhere else. I'm like, I can't tell you how many people I've told. I'm like, I can't do anything with you until you replace yourself. You got to replace yourself. Get somebody that can do what you're doing better, and I can move you up the company. And it's happened over and over and over again in my company. And that's the thing that gets me excited, Mark. It's fantastic.
How much longer are you going to do this? Or can we even talk about that with all your partners from Wall Street and all the franchisees? Like, how much longer do you see Tony doing it? Anything can happen. You get some multi-billion-dollar offer and everybody has their number, but how much longer are you going to do this?
It's not about the number. I mean, yeah. Arab Sheik shows up and offers, $1 billion.
We're going. You're going.
Because I'm going to do something awesome with that money.
Damn straight.
Yeah, so I'm going to do something. I'm not going to just sit on it.
Yep.
So.
But if that doesn't happen,
I want to replace me at some point. So I want to work hard and develop people that come in and one day replace. I'm not egotistical enough to say I can't be replaced. It'd be hard because I got a lot of passion and I'm fired up about this business. Still, 15 years later, all I have to do. You remember I said I talked to every single prospective franchisee at some point, not in the beginning. There's 100 or 700 a month that come through. They go through a process once they bubble up to the top or whatever. And then we say, all right, you got to get on the phone with Tony. And I'm listening. I'm listening the whole time. I don't have time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. But I'm passionate about it, and it fuels me. Because you listen to somebody who says, I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to do this. I believe in this company. I'm so excited. My friend, or I saw this, and I want to be part of this company. I want to be part. Then that fuels the crap out of me to make this company as good as it can be so that person has every chance to succeed in the company. So that's me after 15 years. So I'm going to be here. I'm going to be here at some capacity, but I am going to preach. I'm going to do what I preach, which is I'm going to replace myself. I want to travel. I've got the greatest marriage I think I've ever seen. And I've seen a lot, brother. And I've got a great one.
So when you're going to travel, that's what I want to give us the top 3 places that Tony's already been, and then I want to know the next 3 you're going to go.
I went on a cruise. I was anti-cruise. My wife talks me into this Mediterranean cruise. We start in Monte Carlo. Oh, good Lord.
Did you go to the casino?
Yeah, it was incredible. I didn't gamble, but my God.
You had to pay money just to get in, though.
Just to get in. And then the cars around there, it's the greatest car show ever. I'm like, oh, my gosh, it's fantastic.
And the people are beautiful.
Everyone's beautiful.
Pisses me off.
And I look like I'm from Kentucky.
No.
No.
You're from West Virginia. So.
I was like, yeah, I just insulted Kentucky. Yes, I love it. Yeah, you're right. I'm originally from West Virginia. Yeah.
So,
but
Mediterranean, you started in Monte Carlo.
Yeah, we went all the way through Greek islands over to Israel and came back and all down through Italy.
Did you stop in Morocco and Northern Africa?
We did not, but that's one place we want to go.
Gibraltar?
Nothing. That's the only thing. That's the only thing international I've been. I've been to Australia and Singapore and younger days, but
I need to shut up. So that's number 1.
Okay.
2 and 3.
2 and 3 is I want to get up to Croatia.
Well, where have you already been first? The
That's
other 2 you've already been. Australia,
Singapore, Hong Kong, Hawaii, or not Hawaii, but that Pacific Rim.
Okay.
That was incredible.
Couple weeks.
Yeah. So it was a great trip. I was younger though. So
next 3,
Croatia. I want to get to England. I love Europe. I was a history minor. Didn't realize I had a history minor because I would take a history class just to keep my GPA up because I would read the books and love professors. I just freaking.
So Croatia, is that Prague?
It's where Game of Thrones was all filmed.
Okay.
So it's just my sister travels a lot and she's like, Tony, it's the most beautiful place I've ever been.
I've heard that too. Is that Prague? Is that the capital?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Prague is I don't know.
Thought so.
Yeah.
Czech Republic, something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it all changes every couple years.
It does. So Croatia, up through Europe.
Yeah.
Like the whole Portugal, Spain, Italy, France, Germany, Austria.
That's history, man. We have 200 years of history. That's some history. There's 2,000 years of history there. 3,000, 4,000 years of history there.
And then what about the Isles? Is that the third one maybe? I mean,
yeah.
No, not so much.
Not so much. So, I mean, we have a place down in Florida in Destin, and my brother-in-law comes down. He's like, I've never seen beaches like this. It's like white powder, emerald waters. He's been all over the world. I've never seen beaches like this. I'm like, it's in Destin, Florida.
jump on a plane 2 hours. There you are, right?
like Allegiant.
Boom.
$100. I'm there, and I can go doorstep to doorstep in 3 hours and 15 minutes.
So you still fly Allegiant?
I do. My buddies make so much fun.
No, I'm not. I actually appreciate it, man.
I love Allegiant. I get on, I get off. It's rarely on time, but it doesn't matter. But they fly private, so they make fun of me. We have a deal in our contract when they're flying for me or with me, they can't fly private, or because I'm not going to reimburse them because Kona reimburses or whatever for travel. So I've got all these pictures on my phone where they're flipping me the bird. They're sitting there crammed in coach or even first class
and
they're pissed. They just give me a selfie with them flying the bird at me, and I'm like, that's perfect.
You know what you should say, guys? I'm just trying to help you appreciate the finer things when you get to do that.
That's right.
Just trying to keep you connected here.
That's right.
Will you always be an Allegiant guy?
I'll always be a convenience guy. So I mean, it's just so easy.
I love it. All right. So you love Brad Paisley.
I do. Just because he's from West Virginia, he's just real. I just love country music. It's just, faith and family and friends. It's just so real. I don't know. I guess as I get older, I want texture in my music. I don't want a thumping beat. I just want texture.
So, your dad, the FOF.
The FOF.
Explain to us what influence, what he means to you, impact on your life.
No, you'll get me all emotional on it because he's 86. I named it Traveling Tom's Coffee after him. His name's Tom, obviously. So we almost lost him at COVID. So my wife goes over and she calls me and she says, "Hey, we got a problem." And I come running over to my dad's house. He lives a couple miles away from me, but he hadn't been at work in a couple of days. He was texting us hilarious stuff, but it was like, "You're not spelling it right." And so we go over there. He's like, "Oh my God, he's sick." And we rush him to the hospital and he's got COVID, full-blown COVID. This is early on, and we almost lost him. And you get the priorities rearranged. And because coffee was called Grounded or something in prototyping. Grounded Coffee Transit. I don't know what the heck that meant. I let somebody else name it.
I thought the same thing when you guys pulled up out front. We did an early one.
Yeah. You did. Mm-hmm. Thank you for that, by the way.
Right. It was cold as shit that day. It was miserable. We almost froze Chris's fingers off.
Good.
So back to Dad.
Yeah. So and I just walked in one day. I said, we're gonna name it Dad. We're gonna name it after Dad. Traveling Tom's. We're gonna put country music on it. He's got a story. Everything he's done in his life, he's got a story. He says, I like to tell stories to make points. Jesus did that. I said, you ain't Jesus, brother. He said, yeah, but he did it right. Parables. I said, no. You ain't Jesus, brother. So he's so good. But it means everything to me. I watch people just interact. We were doing a graduation at Kona College one time, and this is just the last college. And I got 1,000 of these stories, Mark. And this lady gets up, and we're saying, okay, you're so-and-so from so-and-so. Come up here and get your diploma and put your pin on the map. And she gets out of her chair and she comes up and she goes, I've been waiting all my life for this. And she goes over and hugs my dad. And she said, and I said, all your life? She said, the first time I saw that video where he was on there, I said, I want to hug that man. And I was like, why? Got big silver hair, got beautiful silver hair and just cantankerous and funny but pure of heart and just a great guy. So it's tough for me because I got an interview one time and they said, biggest influence. So you start, was it Bezos? Was it, blah, 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 all these different names. I was like, end of the day, the influence is my dad. This is the guy that taught me everything. My mom's this incredible woman. She's 83, Dad's 86, and she's this incredible woman. But Dad, just, from a business perspective, life perspective, I told him one time, I said, don't be my friend, because he actually works for me. He says, I don't pay him enough. And I'm like, I don't know, brother. You're doing pretty good. You come and go as you please. But he said, he says all the time, I love having the time with him. I love working with him. He's the guy that gave me all the passion, that showed me how to think, that put Zig Ziglar tapes in my crib probably when I was growing up. I had a teddy bear. You'd pull the string and it would say, you're a winner, Teddy knows. It would say, you're on your way to the top. And my brothers make fun of me. They said, you were Dad's little experiment. He was just pumping positivity into your whole life and let's see if you can handle it. So we think alike and we joke and we laugh, but and he loves the truck. Because we did a caricature of him on the truck. So he now starts dressing like the caricature. He's wearing like red or orange glasses and an orange belt. And I'm like, Dad, that's just to make the colors pop on the truck. And he's like, no, brother, this is me. So he does the graduation speech at Tom's colleges and or coffee academies. He's like, don't screw this up. This is my name on the side. I don't care what you do with Kona, but don't screw this up. I love the guy.
Has he communicated how proud he is of you?
Yeah, but we don't have that kind of relationship.
I figured you didn't.
Yeah, we don't cry very much.
It's not about crying.
Right.
But I guarantee.
Yeah.
I guarantee.
Yeah.
You and this company and what you've done.
Yeah.
It's probably the most proud thing in his life.
But Mark, let me say this, and there's a lot of smart guys and there's a lot of hard workers. It takes some luck. I did some good things. I was a very successful rainbow vacuum cleaner distributor. I was a good marketer for furniture, blah, 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 whatever. It takes some luck. It was a lightning strike, I knew kids like sugar. But, for the brand to hit and take off the way it was, I do feel myself, I don't want to sit here and take all the credit for everything that's happened. Right place, right time. You say, well, you started in the worst time in the world. Well, was it the worst? I got access to people. I had financing all lined up because my partner had finance. So very fortuitous in some ways. So I don't want to take all the credit for it because I've got two brothers. Smarter, well, one's smarter. The other one's harder worker. And they didn't hit it as big as I've hit it. And I'm like, and they work as hard as I do. Do they have the it factor? I don't want to say that. My sister says, I don't want to say blessed anymore because when you're blessed and someone else is not, is that God doing that? Or is it, she said, I'm just saying lucky. Sometimes you're lucky. And so I take that. But with that comes a lot of responsibility, So I don't look at it like I deserve it. I look at it like, man, I was at the right place, the right time, with the right attitude, with the right set of knowledge and the right motivations, and I hit it. And yes, all the things that I was doing up until that point, perfect. I'm glad I was there. But at the end of the day, brother, there's a lot of good ideas, a lot of smart people. I sit on these boards and I talk to these other people, and I'm like, they're smarter than I am. I always say I'm not the smartest guy in the room, but I know who the smartest guy is usually. And then I try to steal all their knowledge or whatever. But
here's what I think though. Man, there's luck when we get in our car,
right?
And if you make it home,
right?
There's some people who don't.
Yeah, no one crossed the center line.
Right. There's luck there.
Yep.
Right. What I know about business, and I'm not the smartest guy in the room either. Give me long enough and I'll figure it out.
Right.
But I don't start out the smartest guy.
Yeah.
Luck's a part, but it's not the biggest part. It's not, man. So I would love – you're a guy I'm never going to argue with.
Right.
But I'd have a good argument over that. And so it's good that you have the gratitude.
Right.
It's good that you have the perspective of – I don't know whether we like the word humility or not because I'll go deep on that term of that word.
I think it's dangerous to not think that way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it is. I never walk into a room and think I'm better than anyone. I never walk into a room and think I'm smarter than anyone.
Right.
I look at myself on the same exact even keel that everyone in that room is.
Correct.
I have a different job.
Right.
And I have you done different things in your life that most people haven't done. See, that's the piece that everyone has to acknowledge.
True.
We can't want to teach some of these lessons and want to bring other people up and say, well, man, you're just leaving it to luck.
Right.
We know that's not true.
No. I just say I think you can achieve a level of success with hard work and intelligence.
Yes.
I've achieved a pretty high level of success.
Yep.
But I can't say it's all. But I'm the only guy there on Sunday nights. I go into the office on Sunday nights and I work 3 or 4 hours every Sunday night.
You know what the luck was? I think it starts with luck. Here's my luck, and I think your luck was that you heard that lady in that video store in Warsaw, Kentucky,
right,
say the thing about the shaved ice.
Yeah.
Everything after that, you took action on.
Yeah.
That was the lucky moment.
Yeah, don't tell her.
Well, make sure you give her a couple dollars, man. Okay. I had a moment. I'm an adjunct professor at Thomas More when I'm taking night classes, trying to get my degree wrapped up. I'm in this corporate job. I'm miserable, burnt out. Not traveling anymore. The company's just sold. The culture's not the same. We've heard this story. And this professor sees something in me. Whatever it is.
Right.
Personality, charisma, whatever.
Right.
And he says, hey, what are you going to do? You heard me talking about, man, I got to find something else to do.
Right.
He said, what are you going to do? I said, I have no clue. I'm 20, I'm 25.
Yeah.
And he said, hey, you should be in commission sales, man.
Yeah, right.
Right. And I said, well, I've heard that a lot, I said, I've never even thought about it. I hear it. What do you think I should do? He's like, I don't know. Go get a real estate license. I was lucky that
someone put in.
Right.
Someone put.
And then at that moment,
right,
everything after that, I took action on.
Right.
Are the people you come in? But if other things would have, because there was a lot of challenges 2008 in the housing business.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
It was really tough.
Yeah.
And so weeks away from bankruptcy.
Right.
My entire financial disaster, like right over on the other side of the hill.
Right.
And there's a lot of people who threw in the towel.
Right.
Okay. Well,
right.
If they would have kept going like I did,
right,
luck would have been on their side.
Yeah.
So I just think that a guy like you is always going to feel that way. Right, because you're just going to. You're wired up that way, and it's very good. I think it's going to keep you connected. It's going to keep you grounded.
Right.
It's going to make other people feel like you really appreciate him, and yeah, I get it, but
yeah,
it's not as big of a part as you're trying to make it.
No. I mean, I will agree with the statement. I mean, I agree with the direction you're going, but I do think it's I had some good ideas before. It's funny because real estate. I was selling rainbow vacuum cleaners. I was making whatever, a couple $100 and we sell a couple $100 a month. I'm making, $40,000-$50,000 a month, blah, blah, blah. It's great money. I was 25, 26 years old, making $500,000 a year. And I said, I'm such a good salesman. I want a bigger commission.
Yep. Sell bigger things.
Bigger things. And I looked at real estate and I'm like, a lot of competition. What I was always going towards, the ice cream truck guy, I'm like, no competition.
But here's what So it's a good thing you didn't come here because 2008 treated me different than you. But you find a way to get through it. But here's what I'll say. When I looked at commercial real estate and residential, I was evaluating both.
Yeah.
I started looking at the people that were realtors in residential real estate.
Yeah.
And I went, that's not much competition.
Yeah. Okay.
And so it was intentional once I dug in.
Right.
But until I got close enough and obtained my license and said, what am I going to do? And so you would have crushed this business. You would have absolutely dominated it.
Yeah.
You would.
Well, thank you for that. No, yes. I look at that and you say there's a lot of people in the country. What I hated was barriers to entry. The barriers to entry. Here's the greatest story if I can finish with this.
Yeah, no, I want this. And then finish with this, and then the final thing I want you to talk about the it factor.
Okay. We buy the building in northern Kentucky. We buy the Florence building. I'm going to put a family entertainment center in the front. Big inflatables, rock climbing walls, all this stuff, because it's off season. That's when people go to the family entertainment center. So I'm going to build this whole thing out. I get this architect to come in here. We're laying this whole thing out. There's a jump zone right down the street from me, and they're going out of business or whatever. I'm like, this is great. I'll put this right in front of them. No problem. We're down the road. I find out this guy sells his jump zone to a young couple. A young couple finance their life, buy a jump zone, and you have to drive by my warehouse to get to the jump zone. And I said, I'm going to hold off a year. And I don't know why. That's not that animal. That's not that. And I was like, I'm going to hold off. I don't want to do that. They sign the lease, 5-year lease, and they just get crushed immediately because I want to do it big. And I said, I'm going to hold off. I got other things to work out, blah, blah, blah. Long story. 10 years later, I didn't do the family entertainment because my Kona franchisees couldn't follow me. Big real estate play, lots of space you needed, zoning, all the kinds of stuff. I thought, no, I'm going to major on the majors, focus on what I'm good at. So I'm glad I didn't do it. But there was that moment where I did it strictly because I didn't want to just drill this couple. And so 10 years later, I don't actually know if it's the exact same couple, but they do a shaved ice truck. It's literally, I could throw a baseball and hit a shaved ice truck behind me. And I'm like, what the hell, man? Are you kidding? And it drives by my window of my office every day. And I'm like, what? And I look back at that moment, I'm like, I should have crushed them. I should have absolutely crushed them because I wouldn't have to be dealing with that now. But not who I was. Not who I am for the most part. But they're out of business. I think I saw their truck for sale or something like that. They followed my idea. They did everything they did. They worked hard. They are smart. They built a shaved ice truck. They're out of business. So they weren't lucky, or they didn't have the it factor. That's what you want to get to. So
what is the whole it? Because here's what I want to get to. Here's what I bet. And I'm glad I can say this because I don't know them. So whoever it is, if you hear this, I don't know who you are. They weren't at the office on Sunday night, man.
They weren't.
Guarantee it.
Right.
And if they went in once, it was once a month.
Right.
It wasn't all 4.
Right. That's exactly right.
Right?
I believe it. I know that what I'm doing is making me successful. It's the pellet, it's the feeder pellet in the maze or whatever. I know when I set my week up on Sunday nights and I can come in Monday morning and start crushing it, and I've got everything lined up, meetings done, notes done for the meetings, and just can be unbelievably efficient. That's success, and I know those are my feeder pellet, the food pellet or whatever is hitting me.
So the it thing, what is it? Say, hey, Tony, I give you the mic. You're walking up and teaching a class. Nobody from Kona's there. And there's 1,000 people in the audience, and they're like, man, I'm ready to do it.
Right.
But I need to know what it's going to take. I need to know if I've got it or not. So before I jump out and quit that 6-figure job to go do not Kona, not Pivot Realty, I'm going to go do it.
Right.
Tell them what they have to have and what the it factor is.
Do you find it cliche to say perseverance? Do you find it that you can't quit? Do you find it that you always have to go the extra mile? Do you find it that failure is not an option? I want to say all these things, but I'm like, frick, cliche. But at the end of the day, I could have quit 10 times. It was hard. But I was like, I'm not quitting. I'm not quitting. I've staked it all on this thing, and I'm going to go deep. I'm going to go hard in the paint. That's what I always say. I'm going to go hard in the paint, brother. I'm not going to quit. So whether it's cliched or not, you just can't quit. And I don't know. I think everybody and their brother is probably going to say that line. I'd like to have something really cool and unique to say there, but
I think it's good to have these same cliches reinforced because it seems to make it way more simple.
I agree.
If they want to look for it, there's a lot of people telling you.
Right.
And here's the #1 CEO, Business Courier said so.
Right.
And you whooped that Brittany Ruby ass, and she wasn't happy about it.
My God, I hope she's listening.
She's never coming on this damn thing. Here we go. So much for Jeff coming on and telling us how great steaks are. Jesus, good job, Tony. Thanks, buddy. No, man, I think
is that cliche? What's everybody else saying?
It's the same shit, man.
Okay.
It's the private conversations, and we're gonna start dragging them out in this podcast. Like we're gonna make this thing. I sent you an email about what the purpose is and what we're trying to do.
Right.
I don't give two shits about monetizing this thing. I don't care.
Right.
I just know that there's a lot of people out here, not as many as I thought when I started the real estate company, but there's a lot of people that really do want a shot at life. They just want a little bit better life. I hear it from them.
Right.
They don't know if they have it, and I don't know if they do either.
Right.
But it sure would be nice if we can give them some self-evaluation tools.
All right.
Right?
This is a good, okay. Yeah, this has been great for me because I read yours. I just wanted to make sure you weren't going to try to catch me.
No.
Hey, talk about Trump.
I think that's BS.
Yeah, talk about Trump, talk about religion, talk about what I don't want to get into that.
No, I think this is truly about, when I named it the necessary entrepreneur, that's me.
Yeah.
It was necessary I did this because I wanted a certain outcome in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a lot of people that want a different life. And they don't have I didn't have them around me when I was growing up. I had a great mom, but a piece of shit dad.
Mm.
And my great mom, she had great work ethic.
Right.
She was a nurse.
Yeah.
So I saw from afar and up close. She didn't tell me work ethic. I saw it.
Mm-hmm.
I saw the double shifts and the 16 hours.
Right.
I saw them, right?
Right.
But nobody was teaching me financial. They didn't teach me
competency.
No. So high school didn't do it. College didn't. Nobody did.
Right.
And so that stuff's not the most important because I've arrived here.
Right.
What's most important is that I really want to help people first be self-aware if they've got what it takes to go down this path to be the person who doesn't quit. Because, man, that's a characteristic.
Right.
I want to help them before they ruin their freaking life because there's people that start businesses, the jump zone people.
Yeah.
They ruin their lives, man. Right. If they wouldn't have done that, they would have been better off, and I guarantee it.
Correct. 100% correct.
That's what I'm trying to help people do.
Right.
So guess what they may be better doing? They may be better coming to Kona,
right?
A company that you have,
right?
Work your ass off, use the traits you do have, and become that VP.
Right. Or get a franchise, develop it out, buy their neighbors out, build a nice thing, put in good management, and spend the rest of their time on the beach.
If you had to do it all over again, Bill, be really honest. If the Tony Lamb now would have known all the stuff you were going to have to go through.
Oh yeah, I did 100%.
You would
1,000%. Yeah, I'm 1,000%. It was never that bad. Now I look back and you're like 2008, all of a sudden the world, everyone's, Lehman Brothers goes down. You're like, holy cow, what's going on? Are we going to be around? Pandemic. We're a 95% event-based business. March 18th, every event in the world gets canceled. Everyone's financed their Kona trucks. I got $40 million worth of financed Kona trucks out there. And I'm wondering, are the collectors or the banks going to collect? Are they going to force these people into bankruptcy? Some tough moments, man. I think my investors, I bet you they wrote us off. I think I've gotten wind of that. It's like, hey, Kona won't survive this. These are small mom and pop businesses, financed to the eyeballs, not to the eyeballs, but financed up, and there's no more business. And it started when our season starts. It's not like if COVID would have started in November, I'm thinking, I got 6 months to get through this. It started in March. April's our, climbing month, and May's our biggest month of the year.
Why'd you survive?
We pivoted. I bought some software from a guy in Tennessee or Texas and curbside Kona. We skinned it, and it's just a delivery service. So we go online and tell people, hey, we'll be in your area from 1 to 5 tomorrow if you want a Kona truck. I mean, it just blew up. And we would get all the requests, and then we'd route it through a routing software and come back and say, we'll be in front of your house at 3:15.
Can you take us through how that, and we want to wrap it up, but this is good.
All right.
What was the evolution of that process to that problem solving of here we are at COVID?
Right.
How long did it take to get to that, to buy that software, to find out that was the solution?
We launched that software April 4th. So that's fast.
Who came up with the idea?
I think a franchisee in Texas started working on a similar idea, but didn't have it. And then we saw this food truck pub or whatever it was, and we came back and we grabbed that software and we reskinned it. And so this guy made a ton of money from us. And I was like, we kept trying to improve it, and he just wasn't improving it. And we're like, come on. And he bought a boat. He crushed it from us because his admin fee or whatever. But we took all the money that we were making from it and just kept putting it back into advertising, and so it exploded for us. But it was some ideas out there, and then it comes into corporate, and then I get full-time guys that were staying up, Adam Summers and Derek Taylor and Jake, and they're staying up around the clock putting this thing together, making sure this thing works, and just freaking crushing it, and it worked, and franchisees are like, you saved us.
See, that's where I'm going. At what moment did you have to say a yes or a no, or did you just let it happen? Did you have to say, yes, we're going to do it, or no? Did that fall on you? Or
yeah, absolutely, because you got to start writing checks.
Was that luck?
I see where you're going.
There's your gotcha.
I see where you're going.
There's your gotcha. And so where I was going with this and what you said before,
right?
Because of you and the decision you made,
right?
Yes, there's great people, and without them, they wouldn't have brought it to you,
right? But
you had to be willing to make the decision, and you saved your franchisees.
Yeah. I got on a plane, flew to Baltimore, and met with the financial institution that had, $22 million worth of Kona paper, and I said, we need some help. And they said, no, we're going to collect. And I said, I want to buy the portfolio. And so you take the portfolio to another lender and say, I'll back it. I'll back it for 90 days because I believe in these franchisees. 90 days, come hell or high water, we're going to make it. And so you put your ass on the line for 90 days on $22 million and on financing, and you're thinking, please God, come back. And so that was, and we did some other things too. That was it was rough there for a while, but it's all or nothing. It's all or nothing, and it worked.
All right, so I'm gonna start. We've started a new thing today, and we're gonna build a wall. We're gonna have to come back and get a picture of him or something, have him sign it. He is proclaimed from the Necessary Entrepreneur of having the CEO it factor. Because kudos to you, man, for having the balls to make that call.
Yeah, that was a tough call.
No shit. Yeah. I'm sitting here like, the last 15 years.
Yeah.
Everything you had.
Everything.
Everything was on the line.
Everything was on the line. My name's on everything. They would have come after everything. So.
Kudos to your wife.
Yeah.
For also supporting you through that.
Oh yeah. And it was never even a hesitation. It's all or nothing.
Man, they're so lucky to have you. Yeah. These franchisees are so lucky to have you. So I just know from talking to you today what's going to happen with a coffee truck. Regardless, you're going to do the same thing with coffee. I'm sitting here thinking, what's next? How the heck can we get in front of this, guys? Let's go buy some software. Let's create the donut truck. Like, shit, let's do something because this guy's got this crap figured out. Steal like an artist. It's a book.
That's right. There's a cookie truck coming. There's some things coming, baby. We're just going to keep building.
Well, thanks, man. This is awesome.
This was so much better than all your other podcasts.
But you know what I would say? Here's what I tell these guys. Man, we're so early in this. But I say, guys, we're going all in.
Yeah.
If we're going to ask people to come in and give their time,
yeah,
we're going all in, and we're going to make these great, and the content that comes out, they're going to be awesome. So I know that's an accurate statement because we talk about it every day, like, guys, we're going to be better tomorrow.
Yeah.
The next podcast, we're going to be better.
No, I mean, I listen. I'm obviously being facetious because it's me, but this is, I mean, the level of professionalism.
Thank you.
This is impressive. This is not, you get these calls, you get these requests sometimes, but, Chris is saying, no, Mark's the real deal.
I appreciate
that. Then
that.
you show up and you're like, oh, shit, that's the building.
Yeah.
You should see this building, everybody. It's ridiculous.
Just wait, baby.
You're still going to add too.
Just wait.
Going up.
We're coming, baby. We're going all in. But I mean, this is going to be a challenging time in the real estate business.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So this is the second one. I don't wish this, but interest rates are 3 times for a 30-year mortgage.
Yeah.
3 times what the interest rate was just 9 months ago.
Right.
So I love that I named the company Pivot.
Yeah.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, that's right.
So every day we get up, we're ready.
Right. Yep.
We're ready for what's coming. So it's going to be challenging, but I think we're ready and we're prepared. We still have the growth mindset. We're not going anywhere, man.
Yeah.
Go all in.
All
What are you going
in.
to tell me? Give me advice. Give me advice give something that Mark Perkins needs to know that I can learn from the Tony.
Let me give you a Tom Lamb. There's so many good Tom Lamb ones. Because he's, country come to town. At first you don't succeed, keep on sucking till you do succeed. Have you ever heard that one?
No.
That's a good one. The more people I meet, the more I like me. And that one's stuck. That one's registered with me a lot lately because I'm sitting on some boards talking to some other people, looking at other businesses and stuff like that, trying to help businesses. And I come back from those meetings, I'm like, my God, I love Kona Ice. We built a hell of a business here. We've got a great culture. We've got a great team. So the more companies I see, the more I like Kona. The more people I meet, the more I like me. It's a great line. Think about that.
Can you guys handle if I take on that persona? They want you to give me something else. Hey, let me tell you something. I think, you know what? I think you and Snoop Dogg have something. The rapper Snoop Dogg?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you had something in common with him.
Yeah, what is it?
Okay. So about 6 months ago, he puts out an Instagram reel, and he's getting an award.
Yeah.
And behind he starts to hear a little rap going off in the background. He's on the mic, and he said, he's thanking all the people for him getting the award.
Mm-hmm.
Thanked his mom. Thanks his wife and he probably just got done smoking weed.
Yeah.
Because that's what he does.
He's got a person that rolls joints, 140 a day.
Yeah. Boom. You and Willie, baby. You got something in common. Didn't they just play Willie Nelson music all night on the CMA last night?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So even though I didn't watch it, I'm reading the news stuff.
It's fantastic.
So Snoop says, but I just want to thank me. And he starts listing off all the things he's done.
Yeah.
And he answered it in a way that was funny, but it wasn't arrogant.
Yeah.
And it's factual.
Yeah.
It's like, he wants to thank me and acknowledge, for me for putting all the time.
Right.
For writing all the songs.
Right.
For putting the extra time in the studio.
Yeah.
For being this guy. And I'm just like, man, he said it so smooth. So Tony's out here telling the world he just wants to thank him for him.
I don't think I said that.
I think you did. The more meetings I go into, the more I like myself. All right, man. Well, thanks again.
Yeah,
and
this has been great. This has really been great.
I'm pumped, man. I'm really excited. And these guys they're becoming experts at cutting up the reels, and they're going to send you all the raw stuff too.
Fantastic.
So I think you've got a team. I heard Chris say that you have a team. You guys can cut it up and do what you want to, and there's no restrictions on it. So
fantastic.
Awesome,
now listen, let me get to 3,000 trucks. Have me back. We'll talk again. So
we're 18 months, boys.
18 months. That's right. We're gonna go hard in the paint, baby.
All right, man. I like it. All right. Here's to 2023. It's around the corner.
Yep.
All right. Are you going to hit one of those places that you're traveling to over the holidays or anything?
Nope. Next June, I think we got another cruise scheduled. So I think June or July. Something. My wife does all the travels.
I'm going to Spain in December.
Ooh, that sounds good.
Me and Jenna are going to Spain.
Yeah.
Right on the Mediterranean. Going to drop down to Gibraltar. So the debate is, do we jump on a ferry and go over to Tangier and Northern Africa?
Man, I don't know. I'm scaredy cat.
I'm doing the same thing. I'm like, let's go do it. I'm all in.
Yeah.
We'll probably stay in Spain.
Yeah.
All right, let's get out of here. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
All right, thanks, guys.
Okay.